OK, get a load of this. The Prime Minister and his team have taken so-called burner phones to China to stop people spying on them.
Yeah, dozens of disposable devices have been issued to the government delegation tasked with building bridges with Beijing.
Sources suggested that no government equipment is being taken over concerns of surveillance by the Chinese Communist Party.
It comes as it's revealed China hacked the mobile phones of senior officials in Downing Street for several years during the Conservative government.
So can Britain rebuild relations without putting its security on the line?
And it's been revealed the Prime Minister led a witch hunt against the Iraq war veterans in a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes.
Business rates backtrack. The government announces it will be giving pubs and music venues a 15% discount on their business rates bill from April. However, hospitality is still not happy.
And Britain feels the force of Storm Chandra as part of the country are hit with heavy rain, flooding and travel disruption still.
With temperatures dropping last night, there's plenty of ice around this morning, leading to some pretty difficult conditions. Otherwise, a lot of dry and bright weather to be had today. Stick around to find out the details.
I've been married, I need to be very careful. Weddings does something to mothers. There's a chemical change in their brain happens when their son or daughter gets married.
Well, that's Love Island star Olivia Atwood defending Brooklyn Beckham in his family feud, blaming mother-in-laws for wedding difficulties. So we're asking, is it time to stop making mother-in-laws the family villain?
And sport in the Champions League, it's the league phase finale as all 36 teams play at the same time tonight. Coco Gauff loses in the Australian Open and tries to smash up a racket in private. And another Team GB Winter Olympian joins us at 7:30.
Hello there, very good to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson. Good morning to you all. So good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hope you're having a lovely morning already. It is only 2 minutes past 6, but we are here keeping you company. And whatever you want to talk about, to be honest with you.
Have you smashed an implement?
Yes, I have. I was just going to say I have got a confession to make.
Go on.
I smashed a guitar over someone's head.
Oh, really?
It was an acoustic guitar. It wasn't a solid body one. But I did smash a guitar over someone's head.
And did they deserve it?
Yes, they really deserved it.
What, were they playing really bad songs?
No, they were just being irritating.
What, so the whole thing?
The whole thing, yeah.
Eamonn, when you've played golf, have you done the... and smashed it? Have always been very, very calm?
No, I've never done it playing tennis either.
Never.
I always think I've saved up too long to get this piece of equipment. I'm not going to jeopardise it.
Yeah. I lost a golf club because it flew out of my hand.
Yes.
I've told you that one, haven't I?
And where did it go?
It actually went over. This is ridiculous. I hit the ball and it was wet, and the ball flew, and then the club flew out of my hand and actually went, and it went over a tree, over someone's fence, and I lost the club. I found the ball but lost the club. So, and it was a lovely club as well. And that wasn't even in anger. That was because it slipped out. But I'll fly.
It was a nice diversion from actually throwing your golf club at somebody.
I didn't know whether to look at the ball or look for the club or what. Yeah. So you've got to be careful. But it wasn't done in a fit of peak.
I've never really been one of these people who've got so held up about my standard of play because I'm never particularly good at anything, so I don't expect too much, so I wouldn't break a club.
Yes.
Single for that.
But the other thing, though, is if you like me and not very good at golf, if you hit a really good shot, which comes once in a, then you go, oh, damn.
Wow.
Like that. So you pretend that's not very good.
Just to be clear, though, smashing sporting equipment when you're frustrated with yourself on the ground is fine.
Well, it's only tennis. It's only tennis.
Smashing guitars over someone's head is not fine, by the way. I'm not advocating doing that. It was a very, very bad thing. It was a very long time ago. I was young and foolish. What can I say?
There's lots of things I wouldn't be good at. Like, I wouldn't be good at holding my patience, meeting the Chinese, for instance, today, like Keir Starmer, and you sit and think, you're spying on us, we know you're spying on us, you're doing this, we're saying this to you, but we don't really mean it, you're saying that to us, and we're smiling, and we don't believe a word you're saying, and whatever. What a lot of...
You would either, Eamonn, be a very good politician or a very bad politician. I can't work out which one.
I tell you, I'm very Northern Irish on this. I would be just like straight in and saying, look, here's the situation. This is the way it is. And then you see what their reaction is.
Yeah.
But all this smiling and sucking up to the Chinese and whatever. However, that's what we're going to talk about.
Get your mobile phone and then say, then smash it, and then go, there's your spine, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, and off you go and get a new phone.
One. OK, so you've got the Prime Minister. He's on his way to Beijing, and he'll become the first Prime Minister to visit China in 8 years.
Yes, that's when Theresa May was out there during the Golden Age. He's due to meet Xi Jinping tomorrow as government tries to reboot relations after years of what Sir Keir calls the swing from Golden Age to Ice Age.
And reportedly, the Prime Minister and his team are bringing what are called burner phones. These are disposable phones and laptops and all sorts of electronic devices, so that they think that stops China then hacking them and spying in on them, right?
Yeah, good luck with that one. This comes as a report reveals that China did indeed hack the mobile phones of senior Downing Street officials for years.
Well, our political editor, Christopher Hope, has this report for you.
I'm here at Heathrow Airport, about to board the flight to China with Sir Keir Starmer and 50 business leaders. It's the most important overseas trip Sir Keir Starmer has made, I think, since the trip to the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. last year, when he met Donald Trump for the first time since his election. And it matters because China is so important as a trading partner of the UK. It supports 370,000 British jobs, and it's the world's second largest economy. It's the first visit to China by a UK Prime Minister since Theresa May back in 2018. Since then, there have been rows about the Huawei phone network in the UK broadband infrastructure, and also concerns about snooping, spying in Parliament, and China attacked for that. Of course, China denies that. But this trip matters. Number 10 tell us that sticking our heads in the sand and refusing to engage will be a staggering dereliction of duty. They point out the fact that the Germans have sent their Chancellor, or the senior people in the German government, 4 times since 2019, and the French 3 times. And it's right to engage when they can, they tell us, and challenge when we disagree. But there's a risk, of course, getting too close to a country which many see as an adversary of the UK. There are concerns about the Uyghurs, how they're being treated by the Beijing administration. Some MPs are still banned from going to China because of their speaking up for concerns about China. Others are worried about the fate of the jailed pro-democracy campaigner and Hong Kong business tycoon Jimmy Lai. Number 10 says this: we'll never trade economic access for our national security. We remain clear-eyed, they say, and realistic about the threats that China poses. That's a challenge to the Prime Minister. He's meeting with President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang this week in Beijing. They'll talk about trade, environment, migration and health issues, and maybe even sprucing up the British embassy in Beijing after the UK allowed China to build its super embassy in the city of London. On the way back, the PM is stopping in to Japan to meet its Prime Minister for more talks about business deals. Number 10 says this is part of its hard-headed, risk-based engagement with the world's major powers. He'll return to the UK, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, maybe with some business announcements to make to boost the UK economy. Whether he gets any credit for that, of course, is a different matter, with MPs openly questioning whether he can lead his party into the next general election. Christopher Hope for GB News at Heathrow Airport.
We're now joined in the studio by former political advisor Oscar Reddrop on all of this. During the Conservative reign, did they know their phones were being tapped?
Well, I mean, I have to be honest. I was there during Boris's time, and I opened up the Daily Telegraph a couple of days ago to see the story about advisors during the Truss and Boris era who did have their phones tapped. And it's utterly terrifying, the thought of it. And it would completely happen without, obviously, you having any clue.
Yeah, so you knew nothing about it at the time when it was happening?
Nothing. Which is utterly terrifying and just makes this kind of, as it's being called in the papers and the media today, this kowtowing to China, just seem utterly crazy to me. Crazy.
But Oscar, would they actually face-to-face confront the Chinese, and say to their president, "Oi, listen."
You know the answer to this.
Yeah. So why? So nobody talks about it. It will never ever be mentioned. But they know, and we know, and
yeah, the words come out of the mouth and is literally not listened to or an eyelid bat whatsoever. It's really fascinating. I mean, from a political standpoint, Keir Starmer better have a huge pot of gold at the end of this. And I mean huge pot of gold.
I mean, the accusation, Oscar, is that, because the economic state in this country is in dire straits, that Starmer is out there trading economic lifeline for the struggling economy over here. But is he selling national security to do so?
You're right, Dawn. We always have this issue with China. It's striking that balance. And the balance for me, as we sit here right now ahead of this visit, is so out of kilter. China have a real made-in-China policy now. A lot of the kind of the spying, if you like, and even the things that we produce in this country that they want to look at, they just want to look at it, maybe do a bit of trade off the back of it, but then just so they can copy it, make it better, make it cheaper, and produce it in China. There is, as we sit here now, China are assisting Russia with hypersonic missile material.
That they're using to bomb Ukraine.
Yeah, and I just find it staggering that we're going to have our Prime Minister doing his awkward little walk and his awkward little smile and kind of absolutely, understandably in many ways, playing complete second fiddle B-side. He's promising it in a way that he's taking over CEOs and businesses, and that's really going to affect the back pocket of everyday people, which I think we all know to be suspect at best as a claim. And just finally on the China point, in my heart of hearts, the best we're going to get, like China have overproduced steel. Yeah. So we'll get their second-hand steel, we'll kind of bootleg almost, stick a UK flag on it and pretend it's ours. It will do nothing for the steel industry and regular workers in this country, and maybe some kind of EV, electric car stuff. But, it's terrifying. China are not our friend.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that the embassy, granting the embassy the planning permission this week, is related to this.
Completely. And there are real understandable issues with that. I think, it's the biggest embassy of its kind in Europe. This is a country that openly, that we know, it's in the papers it feels like every week, spy on us. There is China surveillance in this country and, at the highest levels of government. And the world is dangerous and insecure as it is now. And what do? We grant them a super embassy, access, right in the heart of London, access to things that I think the average person out there would be utterly terrified.
And how, on a political point of view, is this going to affect our relationship with America and with Trump, who is already angry at how close we are to China over the embassy? So the fact that we're out there now doing deals with them, that special relationship we have with America...
No, absolutely right, Dawn. I think, in fairness, I think Trump in many ways is also a pragmatist on these things. And, if I think we really overestimate how much headspace Keir Starmer takes up in Donald Trump's brain, for one. Yeah. But nonetheless, I think he'll probably like, well, if Keir Starmer wants to do that and he needs to do his thing, then fine.
I think we're facing another big problem, and that is Donald Trump seems to be sick. He seems to be ill. He seems to be mentally ill. There's a lot of people making those accusations that he is physically and mentally ill, and that he can't be in office for too much longer. You just have to look up the internet and see what they're saying about Trump and his illness. But the world is very fragile when you look at who's running what and what's going on. The big winner seems to be Putin, really, at the end of the day.
And China. That you're absolutely right. The world is incredibly insecure. The West is going through real difficulties at the moment as a power. So why would we want to fly over to China and embolden, because honestly, the president in China has never felt stronger, never felt stronger.
Now, Oscar, I want to talk to you now about this whole business of business rates. And after weeks of speculation and delays, the government has finally unveiled long-awaited plans to support pubs.
Today, I can confirm that from April, every pub in England will get 15% off its new business rates bill on top of the support announced at budget. Pubs' bills will then be frozen in real terms for a further 2 years. This support is worth £1,650 for the average pub just next year and will mean that around 3/4 of pubs will see their bills either fall or stay the same next year.
Yeah, this is part of the long-awaited U-turn number 14, I think. But Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride has slammed the move as too little, too late.
Mr. Speaker, the government has proved today that either they do not understand the damage they are doing or they do not care. Today's announcement is far too little, far too late.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of complaints about this because this doesn't just affect pubs. Hospitality experts are warning that any package does nothing to help other sectors with costs, including hotels and restaurants. And bear in mind, one pub closes every single day in this country. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. CEO of Nighttime Industries, Michael Kill, joins us now. Michael, are we estimating this, or how bad is it?
I mean, the sector is hugely challenged. You have to appreciate that since 2020, it costs about 30 to 40% more to operate businesses, including pubs, music venues, nightclubs, which seems to be surreal given the state of that. And then we've had consecutive budgets where we've seen increases, both the NIC contributions and also national minimum wage, which everyone wants to pay more. But the challenge we have is the cost to operate is so extensive. And then with the business rates position to only look at pubs and music venues just seems somewhat surreal, given the fact that there has been a huge amount of evidence to support other businesses, late night bars, including nightclubs, which have lost a third since 2020. So the worrying part at the moment is this very sort of the government just living in this bubble and not really understanding the true gravitas or position on the ground.
Michael, and there you have a Prime Minister going and a trade delegation going to China, kissing China's backside and saying, oh, invest in our country and make things happen. And we look upon growth and people spending money and whatever. And here you have an industry, whether it's hotels, whether it's pubs, whatever it is. And it's there and it can thrive. And all we're doing is clubbing it over the head.
Oh, the taxation, the tax burden has been unprecedented over the last few years, and it almost feels sometimes that, and this is the example I give all the time, is they take £1 in tax and then they give you back 50p in return in support. A prime example is, you know, the NIC contributions was taken away from us. The thresholds were lowered. We had to take a lot of young people out of work because business couldn't afford it. And then literally 6 to 8 months later, we started talking about policies about bringing young people back into work when we already had a solution that was working. So this government seems very chaotic. We're very concerned about what the future looks like. And as you can appreciate, there is somewhat of a cliff edge for many businesses coming up to the 1st of April outside of pubs and music venues. Not that we don't want those to have support, but we have to recognise that there's a very fragile ecosystem around those businesses, including other businesses that importantly have the same issues.
Michael, just very quickly, are you getting any action from the government? Is it looking likely they'll do another U-turn for the rest of the hospitality industry?
I don't think people are going to just sit on their hands and allow this to happen. There is a lot of anger and fury over the fact that this has been a very sort of smaller, acute group of businesses that have been focused. They have tried to deal with this in a way that they've looked at the Licensing Act to be very clear on what a pub looks like and what a music venue looks like. But I think that the challenge we have is there are so many grey spaces, blurred lines, whether you talk about hybrid spaces where you have music, dancing, a pub in the daytime, a nightclub or a venue in the evening. So I don't think they're going to get away with it as easy as they'd hoped to. And we are without a doubt going to challenge vociferously as we move forward, because we believe there are other businesses, both hotels, nightclubs and other businesses that really deserve the support. And we're not just going to allow this to sort of run and sort of ebb into the background.
Well, Michael, good luck to you. Thanks for talking to us this morning. I just find a quick word from you, Oscar, on this and the this industry, this area, and you know we talk about investment in the country, and I don't get it. We go to China and we say, "Oh, please invest in our country," and here we have people who are investing in our country, and we're treating them very badly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right to make that link. I mean, you hear business owners like we just have there, and a lot of them are doing it for incredibly small margins. They're doing it locally for the people that often they've grown up with. They're often doing it for the love of it, and obviously to put money into the local economy. And honestly, the fact the government constantly U-turn, he used the word perfectly there, chaos, that uncertainty in itself, even if they do kind of row back and actually finally kind of get to a reasonably decent place, that uncertainty causes mayhem in businesses. And he's also right to identify that, yes, they've kind of made this sticking plaster for pubs in this U-turn, but what about restaurants? What about hotels? What about music venues? What about shops, just normal retail shops?
Yeah.
Honestly, get out the way and let these businesses do good for their community, do good for their employees and our economy.
Yeah.
Well, that's Oscar having to say, and Oscar's going to be back after 7 o'clock this morning to talk more.
And remember, have your say as well, gbnews.com/your say.
Yeah, do that. Get your views in. Just let us see how you get your say. If you can press a button and make that happen. Very good. gbnews.com/your say, and you can scan that little thing there
QR code thing
on the right, and we'll reflect your views throughout the programme.
Yes.
Here's the Daily Reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, my name is the Reverend Pat Allerton, and I'm a vicar in the Church of England. Perhaps you or a friend of yours has had what you described as a Damascus Road experience, or a Damascene moment, what common culture refers to as a revelation where your life is transformed and you set off on a new course. Well, that expression actually finds its roots in the Bible, in the New Testament. And it speaks of a man called Saul, who was traveling to a place called Damascus in modern-day Syria to persecute and arrest the early Christians, the early church that was taking root there at the time. He's walking there and he is struck down by a blinding light as the risen Jesus speaks to him from heaven and blinds him. And his life is transformed as he comes to faith in Jesus being the Messiah. From that moment on, chapter 9 tells us that at once he began to preach in the synagogues that Jesus is the Son of God. And he went on, of course, to write most of the New Testament in the Bible. I have a friend called Michael Emmett who sadly passed away this last year in 2025 after a long battle with cancer, but he was one of the most inspiring people you could meet. He was a lifelong criminal for the first half of his life with his father. He was in the family business. They were drug smugglers together, and he and his father got arrested in a sting operation for trying to bring in the biggest shipment of cannabis this country had ever seen at the time. They both went to prison, and it was there that they did an Alpha course, and their lives were changed forever. And Michael spent the rest of his days, 30 plus years, telling people about Jesus and the difference he can make to our lives. Now, you or I aren't necessarily called to be modern day Pauls or even Michael Emmett's, but each one of us has our own story. And each one of us is invited to come to the risen Jesus and be transformed by his mercy, grace, and love. How about stepping into that in 2026? Not a bad way to start the year.
Now, Storm Chandra, has it affected you? Hopefully you've been lucky enough that it's passed you by. I know in the West Country, south of England and Northern Ireland, really, really bad. Back with the latest on that right after this.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
So here we are Wednesday morning. I wonder, has that Storm Chandra affected you? I hope not. Northern Ireland yesterday, flights from George Best Airport completely cancelled all day. School closures, widespread travel disruption around much of the country, yellow weather warnings across England, Wales and Scotland. So it continues today.
Yeah, so let's talk to weather journalist Nathan Rao to find out what more we can expect from this Storm Chandra. Why do we give them names? Nathan, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. What more has Storm Chandra got in store for us?
Good morning. Well, thankfully, Storm Chandra is pretty much over for today. And as Alex was saying for the Metropolis earlier, it's a quieter day today. But in its wake, it has left a lot of damage, and there's going to be a huge cleanup. Storm Chandra was the third named storm, pretty much in as many weeks, following Storm Goretti and Storm Isabel. What we're seeing with these storms as they come through, the greatest threat is being the heavy rain and now the flooding. The effects of Storm Chandra through the next few days is going to be the cleanup from flooding, as we're seeing across the southwest of the country, across Somerset. In fact, a major incident has been declared in Somerset, reminiscent of the 2013 winter floods, which again put the West Country underwater. But it is going to be flooding, not just from Storm Chandra, but as we go through this week, later in the week, and through into the middle of the February, with more rain on the way that is going to be an issue as these storms from the Atlantic come in. So although Storm Chandra is pretty much done its thing, there is more to come, and it's going to take a while for these floods to recede.
Yeah, I think you point out something very interesting. It's not even so much the damage the storms have caused, it's our inability with our drainage systems, for instance, many of which are Victorian, to deal with what's going on here.
Yes, I mean, you're quite right. And this has been highlighted in actually a report last year from the Climate Change Committee, which says that, you know, it talks about climate change, and whatever your thoughts on climate change, we are seeing more and more flooding, and we are woefully unprepared for this flooding. Whenever we get sustained bouts of rain, we see that parts of the country are left underwater. There are around 6 million, I think, properties at risk from flooding. But not only that, agricultural land is continually at risk from flooding. Railways and infrastructure is at risk from flooding, and we are unprepared for it. And this isn't going to go anywhere. We are going to get more and more of this wet weather as a theme as we go through the autumn and winter months, and we're not prepared for the flooding. There are measures we can put in place, for example, building reservoirs, boreholes, dredging the rivers, which itself has environmental implications. You know, the opinions are split on that, but there is possibly, arguably, more we could be doing to prepare for flooding when it comes with greater frequency.
Cheers, Nathan. Thanks for the update. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
OK, well, let's get the full weather forecast now for the day ahead.
Just want to say about, you know, everything boils down to what way these water companies deal with things. Yeah. And they're not putting the investment in there. I mean, Nathan just mentioned build more reservoirs, more drainage. Are you kidding?
Well, I mean, we haven't built one since 1997, I think was the last time. There are plans, there's always plans to build a reservoir. Yeah. So that is going ahead at the moment, I think up in Cumbria area. But we're also going to be building more homes on floodplains. Yeah, but also don't be giving me this rubbish as we hit the summer. Oh, we've got a drought. We've got water shortage. We don't have water shortages. We have shortages of places to collect water, which is a different thing. Yeah. The weather picture today. Good morning, Alex Burkhill.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain, though, across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud, though, towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, and then a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
And from the weather to what's happening out on the roads, if you're heading out and about today, let's find out. Here's the traffic.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M9 eastbound at junction 1A, there are restrictions after a road collision. On the A4042, both directions between Little Mill and Abergavenny Hardwick roundabout, there is an incident causing delays. In North Yorkshire, the A19 southbound between the A61 and the A168 has one lane closed, with recovery after 7:15 this morning. Also, the A38 southbound between the A513 and the A5192 has a lane closed. And on the trains, TransPennine Express has major disruption, and Great Western Railway warns of poor weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Great British giveaway. There's a lot of money. It could be yours. And remember, time's running out because it's all over on Friday. Have a go.
There's just 3 days to grab your chance to win, as our biggest cash prize to date is up for grabs, an incredible £85,000, and it really could be yours. That's tax-free cash to spend all throughout 2026. Enough money to make this year your best year ever. Just one entry could secure it, but you have to hurry, as lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted transmitted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. And now don't go anywhere because it's the latest sports news with the wonderful Paul Coit. Coity, what's happening?
Champions League is tonight, but I'm going to go through that later because I know Eamonn nods off as I go through the permutations. And there are a lot of permutations because it's the final night of, well, it's the finale of the group stage where everybody plays together. Well, together. They play at the same time. Transfers. Now, the transfer window closes soon. I've got a few bits and pieces here. Tammy Abraham at Roma, get this, so he's playing for Roma, goes on loan to Besiktas, then Besiktas in Turkey buy him, that was on Monday, and then they sold him yesterday.
They actually paid money for him and then they flogged him off.
Yeah, because the thing was he had a deal where it was one of these, but once he goes on loan, then they've got an obligation to buy. So Besiktas realised they bought him on Monday for 11 million and then sold him to Villa yesterday for 18 million.
Oh, my
That's not bad going,
That's not
is
a bad deal, come on.
It's not bad going, is it? You go, you know what,
that.
we'll buy you, and then we'll sell you. So he's off to Villa. Douglas Luiz, he used to play at Villa, sold to Juventus for 42 million. That was because of that profit and sustainability rule. Aston Villa couldn't afford to keep him. So he'd gone off, then he joined Forest on loan, and now he's back at Aston Villa again, although on loan this time. So he's gone off and come back. Raheem Sterling.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a big name. Looks like he's going to leave Chelsea. It gets to this point with some players where it just ends. It just stops
Chelsea
working.
have too many players. Too big a squad.
But he went to Arsenal, didn't it? And it didn't work at Arsenal either. So, but also, he's their biggest earner. So you've got a player who doesn't play that's making 300 grand a week.
Wow.
Not to play. I mean, my goodness.
Where's he off to?
Well, I don't know. He's probably going to look for a club, or if I was him, I'd just think, well, fine, I think I'll just put my feet up on the beach for a while. Now, another Chelsea player, Cole Palmer. We know how good he is. But he's homesick, apparently, for Manchester. Now, they bought him
he's a City supporter.
Well, they bought him... Well, no, he's not. This is the thing. He played at City, but apparently, Eamonn, he is a Manchester United supporter.
We'd have him.
Would you be interested?
Of course you'd be interested. A class player.
I know you would be.
Why can't he... You know, why is it not working for him at Chelsea?
Well, they say because he's possibly homesick and wants to go back to Manchester.
Oh, right.
So anyway, Liam Rossigna, the manager of Chelsea, was asked what the chances were of Cole Palmer, which would be awful for Chelsea if he actually left, and was it likely to happen? This is what he said.
There's no reason for an assurance. It's so unrealistic. It's come from nowhere. There's nothing in it. There's no reason to have the conversation. That's where I'm at. Cole is very happy. I've had numerous conversations with him. Our thoughts on how we can make this team better, how he can improve, and how I can help him, because he loves being here and he wants to be a Chelsea player. You can't stop speculation, but some speculation is so far from the truth, there's no point having a discussion about it.
He doth protest too much, I thought.
And Harry Kane wants to stay in Germany.
Yeah, it could be, because there's an option that if he could leave in January, but they want to extend it, obviously, and there's a very good chance that Harry Kane will stay at Bayern Munich, and I think he probably will. Come, Harry, come back to Spurs. Harry, come back. Come on. You spent enough time in Germany. Come back.
Enough, Coity, you're relegated, mate. Any case, Paul...
Please.
Paul, back next.
Was that desperate?
Well, yeah, that was very desperate.
Okay.
That was like begging.
Okay.
Coit is back with us in the next hour, Paul. Thank you very much. We're not wasting West Ham at all in any way, shape or form. Still to come, lowering cholesterol may not be as hard as we actually thought. Oh, OK. We'll tell you more about that one in the papers next with Claire Muldoon and Tim Vincent. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, can't blame you. Here's a forecast for those top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's been very unsettled across southern Europe so far this week, and there is more heavy, thundery rain to come, even some significant hill snow through the next few days. Tomorrow is going to be very wet across much of Spain, Portugal and also North Morocco. Several hundred millimetres of rain building up through this week, and it's also very unsettled further east across the Mediterranean. Strong winds leading to large waves and also some heavy, thundery rain. More changeable weather to come into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
Is Brooklyn Beckham just an over-entitled Nepo baby here who probably wouldn't have married an heiress if he didn't happen to have his dad's last name?
Look, I think, as you said, these were jaw-dropping revelations and claims made against his family. This is the most public sort of disowning of his family that we ever could have seen. I mean, nobody expected this. Obviously, we know that there's been this rift going on, and we've sort of had briefings from both camps, but never overtly statements made, right, like this. So I think in terms of your question, there's three sides to every story. There's yours, mine, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think for this, some of the revelations were so specific. I mean, the dancing one, for example, the hijacking his first dance at his wedding to Nicola Peltz in 2022. How can you make that claim when 500 people were at that wedding? You know, is he really going to make a claim like that that could be refuted so easily? I mean, we've already had sort of people close to the Beckhams saying this is not true already, and apparently he blocked his siblings and not the other way around.
So sorry, have they come out and people have come out and said this isn't true?
It's sort of like more, messages between people we know are close there. It's not necessarily official at all. In fact, it's definitely not official, but people have started suggesting already that a lot of it isn't true. But then again, I'm in between because, how can you make such specific claims with so many people around for them to be totally, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I feel it's sort of an in-between situation where clearly something's gone on. I mean, you and I can see, and anyone can see, that brand Beckham is very important to them.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Two of my favourite paper reviewers this morning, Claire Muldoon and Mr. Tim Vincent.
Hold on. I do your paper reviews on a Monday.
You do everything. You just have to accept that.
You never tell me I'm one of your favourites.
Well, no, I'll tell you this. There was I on Sunday, sitting having my Sunday roast dinner, whatever it is, and it was in a restaurant with glass windows all right round the whole place. And who comes by with 17 children and his other half, Tim Vincent.
17 children? Just 17 this time?
I was busy trying to shoplift, and then my phone started ringing. It was Eamonn said, "You've just walked past," so we came in and spoiled your dinner for 2 minutes while
it was a pleasure,
roast.
Tim.
Yeah.
An absolute pleasure. Now, is it a pleasure, Claire, for Keir Starmer to go to China or not?
Mr. Kowtow. I wonder if it actually is. What is the problem with him going? Why is he going? Well, he's going because he needs to formulate some form of diplomatic ties to China. How will that reflect on Trump? Who knows? But I'm sure Trump will tell us loud and clear. The other thing is, of course, as you've covered earlier, they've all been advised to use burner phones and temporary laptops. This is because the last time...
These are phones that have no trace.
Trace, right? So they'll be binned, basically, at the end of this.
Who makes these burner phones?
The Chinese, actually, funnily enough.
Exactly. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and if we can recall, when, I think it was 2018, actually, when Theresa May was the last Prime Minister of this country to go to China for meetings, she was advised to get changed under bedclothes. Such was the surveillance that they thought might be in her hotel rooms. I mean, this is ridiculous. But I understand why he's gone, and I am actually glad that Rachel Reeves hasn't gone, because she was supposed to have gone the other night with him. But, you know, there's so much up in the air. Why on earth are we trying to kowtow to Chinese trade when we can't even get our own country's trade properly?
Why is Rachel Reeves being blocked from going?
Well, I think because of the machinations that are going on behind the scenes in the Labour leader conflict.
Leave somebody you can trust. Also, with that China thing and the phones, it's nothing new. They've always been... They're tapping our phones over here, so it's nothing new if you're going to go over there. I had the great privilege of hosting Miss World twice in Sanya in China, and we were told, even 10 years ago, be very careful of what you say in your own bedroom, because it's being taped. Forget your phones.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So you have
but
to
you
be
see,
very
the thing is, Tim, we know that they're spying on us. They know that we're probably spying on them. It's a complete den of thieves, the whole lot. And yet no one, it'll all be polite and everybody will shake hands and no one will say, oi, what are you doing? Cut this out. Nobody.
It's brinkmanship. You've just got to watch an old episode of Yes, Minister.
The thing is with the Chinese, like you, we were out there 2 years after Tiananmen Square. I was a journalist working out. I was thrown out of the country. This is not about me, by the way. But we were warned then, be very careful what you say. But you can't confront them. The thing is with the Chinese, you have to be diplomatic. You'd never corner them, because they will go through your throat like a rat.
And you just assume everything is being taped. Work from there backwards.
It's a very, very strange experience.
What about the business of the high street, the business rates?
Well, you know, front page of the Mail, covered by most of the papers, Labour's botched business rates U-turn was branded too little, too late last night. Basically, she's applying a discount for 1 year, but only to the pubs, 2-year freeze on the bills, but ignoring small shops, restaurants and hotels, of course, will still be facing the crippling tax rises. We've discussed this before. It's the low-hanging fruit, isn't it? They know exactly how to tax these people that are working hard. It's the same as motorists. You know where you live. You go 2 miles over the speed limit. We can go for you because we've got your address, and let's get the money, rather than going after people that are not paying their taxes as they should. I think it's a really upsetting thing, because anecdotally, we're talking about high streets this morning, weren't we? We were having a coffee. All these high streets are just being replaced by big brands that can afford to pay whatever they're paying, or pay no tax because they're registered abroad. And all the people that are being here are being taxed left, right and centre. And the pub, 1 year, whoopee-doo. It's the same as in Wales. You know, I've got a holiday let there. They've just made an announcement on the Welsh Government, 3 amendments to the 180 days that you have to rent a holiday let out for, which is ridiculous. No business works like that. They've watered it down. There's indecision. People still don't know where they stand. Exactly the same as the pubs. What is 1 year going to do? That's not going to encourage anybody to start a business.
See, Claire, the thing that gets me is that they know the repercussions of such hikes like this. You lose jobs, national insurance rates, you know, whatever. People don't want to employ people, and it's death to the high street. We know that. So why do they persist in going ahead with it? Instead of spending money, why don't they try and save some money?
I don't think they've got any business acumen, and I think that's the problem here. They're grassroots. They're not even grassroots politicians, so they don't know what the local areas need. Your MP is supposed to be there to support you, to elect things in government for you, and they're not like that. We know this at the moment with Andy Burnham. They were going to fly him into another seat, metaphorically. Angela Rayner bought a home in Brighton and Hove. She's still up north. And then on Monday there was talk of a national police force. It's all of this nationalisation of things. It's wrong. We need to have local things for local people at grassroots level. And therefore we will be able to grow then. Just finally, quickly, local things, local people did include pubs once upon a time, but they might not be necessary in the future, Tim, because kids are giving up booze.
I know, it's absolutely amazing. More than a third of Gen Z, which I think is you're born 97 to 2012, so the younger ones. Figures suggest in 2024, some 35% of people aged between 16 and 24 did not drink any alcohol in the previous 12 months. The shocking statistic is just under 25% of all adults now in this country are teetotal.
Well, they didn't poll my 4 for that, actually, because they all...
me.
You're not in that category.
But, you know, it's frightening, isn't it? And that is a wake-up call to everybody, that pubs can adapt, and they've adapted before by playing football games to get people back in.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's also a bit about the cost. Just, I know people say it's good for you, it's bad for you, alcohol. We obviously know too much is definitely bad for you, but the cost of now, how much is a pint? £5-6, a glass of wine, £10. It's a lot of money when you go out, especially if you're going to have a couple of glasses
but even
around.
the non-alcoholic alternatives aren't that much cheaper.
They can be much more expensive.
Well, people are paying £5 for a coffee. Well, they do.
I started working in a pub in 1976.
Yeah.
Do you know how much a pint of beer was then?
50p.
25p. Amazing, isn't it? You're close. Well done. The guys will be back in 45 minutes' time, and we'll be back after the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain, though, across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales, ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud, though, towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, and a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. Together, we have built something truly extraordinary.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M9 eastbound at junction 1A, traffic is restricted after a crash. In North Yorkshire, the A19 southbound between the A61 and A168 has lane closures for roadworks, clearing after 8:03. In Worcestershire, the M5 southbound between junctions 3 and 4 is down to 2 lanes, improving after 8:24. Devon's M5 southbound entry slip at junction 28 is closed for a collision, reopening after 10:42 this morning. And on the trains, TransPennine Express has major disruption between Huddersfield and Manchester Victoria. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 081 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
I think it's my phone. Good morning. The Prime Minister and his team take burner phones to China to combat spying.
So dozens of these, which are disposable, have been issued to the government delegation tasked with building bridges with Beijing.
Yes, sources suggested that no government equipment is being taken to China over concerns of surveillance by the Chinese Communist Party.
Now, this comes as it is revealed that China hacked mobile phones of senior officials in Downing Street for several years during the Conservative government. Very shortly, we'll be speaking to someone whose phone may have been one of those.
So can we rebuild relations with China without putting security on the line?
Also this morning, it's been revealed that the Prime Minister led a witch hunt against Iraq war veterans in a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for war crimes. Lord Dannatt, the former head of the British Army, will be speaking to us in about 10 minutes' time.
Yes, and meanwhile, business rates backtrack. The government announces it will be giving pubs and music venues a 15% discount on their business rates bills from April. However, hospitality is still left out in the cold.
Britain feels the force of Storm Chandra. It's passed over us and the country has been left with a lot of flooding and travel disruption as a result.
With temperatures dropping last night, there's plenty of ice around this morning, leading to some pretty difficult conditions. Otherwise, a lot of dry and bright weather to be had today. Stick around to find out the details.
I've been married, I need to be very careful. Weddings does something to mothers. There's a chemical change in their brain happens when their son or daughter gets married.
That's Love Island star Olivia Attwood defending Brooklyn Beckham in the Family Feud, blaming mother-in-laws for wedding difficulties. We're asking, is it time to stop making mother-in-laws the family villain?
And sport this morning, well, Champions League is... Well, it's the league phase finale tonight. It's 36 teams all play at the same time. Coco Gauff loses in the Australian Open and tries to smash up a racket in private. And another Team GB Winter Olympian joins us at 7:30.
Hello there, very good to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Dawn Neeson. It's just gone 7 o'clock and good morning to you all. Thank you for joining us.
Just looking at the reaction to the storm, and it's passed over now, but obviously it's wreaked a lot of havoc. And a lot of you are pointing out the amount of surface water which isn't draining away. Angela says this is because a lot of gullies are blocked. Some gullies I've seen are full to the top with debris. And leaves there, so when it rains the water floods the road. The council doesn't clean them out. And I'd say that's true, Paul, but for a cost reason. I mean, they think they can't afford to clean them out.
Yeah, there's drains down my way, and then you can... And there's nothing going in there because it's so full of all
leaves
and rubbish. And they had one of the... And I thought, I'd love to do that job. They had one of these big lorries that went along with a big sucky machine that went in there. I thought, I'd love to have a go at that. But it was only a couple of them, but there were so many more that just all... Because there's all...
So you think more sucky machines
I think more of sucky machines
around the country.
That's it. That's why I should be in charge of the councils.
Yeah.
More sucky machines.
But you're right about who should be in charge of the councils, because a blind man and a galloping horse can see what is wrong most times. And why does officialdom get in the way and doesn't see these things? I mean, I think the water companies don't seem to invest. Nope. They've given up on all sorts of things. I mean, the whole country's gone to pot. It really has.
It's just another thing.
Talking of pot, sorry, that was a terrible link, Dawn. The other story lots of people are getting in touch about is why youngsters aren't drinking anymore. Why a lot of them are not drinking, and lots of people suggesting, by the way, good morning to you all. Rob in particular says, a sober generation, well, they probably take drugs instead. Lots of people are agreeing with that kind of sentiment.
No.
I mean...
No. I don't believe it's that.
Well, you've got youngsters.
Yeah, you know, it's this... And the weird thing, it's this health kick. There's so many... Which I suppose is good. I mean, when we were that age, you'd think, yeah, everybody go down the pub and have a good time, but it's like, well, I can't drink that. This is bad for my working out. This is bad for this. But so a lot of them don't drink because of those reasons. I don't think it's a drug thing.
Is this what your kids are telling you, Coy?
Yeah, go.
Right,
Dad.
yeah.
Dad.
Well, see, you can get through life without drinking and still have fun. I mean, I have a life whereby people come and say, Eamonn, remember we got bloodered in Manchester that time and we did this, did that. No, it didn't happen. But I'm happy to be in people's company that they think I got drunk with.
Yeah.
It was George Clooney again, wasn't it? It was George again.
Talking of Georges, just quickly, you spent a lot of time with George Best. You never had a pint or two with George?
No.
No. How do you spend time with George and not drink?
Well, that's easy enough. I mean, George Best was very, very good company.
He was brilliant.
Very friendly, lovely. But the difference was when he had the drink, he then began to change.
Did get a bit,
And he became it was a really difficult person to be with. And that's the sad thing. But, a magic guy. Paul, I look at a lot of old footage on Instagram and whatever. Honest to God, I've never seen better. He is absolutely incredible when you watch the magic that he would perform. Though, I would say this, and this gets a topic you and I often talk about, I don't believe that any of them, Guardiola, Ferguson, whoever else there is there, that Captain Black at Arsenal, I don't believe any of them would play him.
Yeah.
Because they would want him as a defender. They would want him tackling back. They'd do all this. The game is different. He was a player of his time, of his generation.
Absolutely brilliant.
Allowed to do what he did, and it's magic like you'll just never see again.
There was times when Spurs were bad in the 90s. Not that Spurs are bad now, of course. And you'd be happy to pay the season ticket just to watch David Ginola run up and down the wing, do his thing. And it was like, because the skill was there, you could enjoy it, and it was entertainment. And this is what sport is all about. It's about entertainment. It's about what we love, what excites us. But when it's not there, then...
Or is it just about winning?
There you go. I haven't experienced that very much, so I wouldn't...
It's just about money, to be honest with you, gents. That's what it's about at the moment.
It should be about entertainment for the fans.
Keep having your say this morning. There it is. There's how you do it. And we'll try and reflect what you are saying today. Was Best the best, if you remember him playing?
Definitely.
Keir Starmer is on his way to China, and he becomes the first British Prime Minister to visit the country in 8 years. Theresa May was the last one.
Yes, he's due to meet Xi Jinping tomorrow as the government tries to reboot relations after years of what Sir Keir calls swing from golden age to ice age.
And the Prime Minister and his team are bringing disposable, what are called burner phones, and apparently you get laptops. Can you get laptops that you throw away?
Yeah, you can, and they're all made in China, so it's completely pointless in any case. But hey, who are we to point that out? This is all to stop China from spying on them, obviously.
OK.
This comes as a report reveals that China actually did indeed hack the mobile phones of senior Downing Street officials for years.
Well, our political editor, Christopher Hope, has this special report for you.
I'm here at Heathrow Airport, about to board the flight to China with Sir Keir Starmer and 50 business leaders. It's the most important overseas trip Sir Keir Starmer has made, I think, since the trip to the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. last year when he met Donald Trump for the first time since his election. And it matters because China is so important as a trading partner of the UK. It supports 370,000 British jobs, and it's the world's second largest economy. It's the first visit to China by a UK Prime Minister since Theresa May back in 2018. Since then, there have been rows about the Huawei phone network in the UK broadband infrastructure, and also concerns about snooping, spying in Parliament, and China attacked for that. Of course, China denies that. But this trip matters. Number 10 tell us that sticking our heads in the sand and refusing to engage will be a staggering dereliction of duty. They point out the fact that the Germans have sent their Chancellor or the senior people in the German government 4 times since 2019 and the French 3 times, and it's right to engage when they can, they tell us, and challenge when we disagree. But there's a risk, of course, getting too close to a country which many see as an adversary of the UK. There are concerns about the Uyghurs, how they're being treated by the Beijing administration. Some MPs are still banned from going to China because of their speaking up for concerns about China. Others are worried about the fate of the jailed pro-democracy campaigner and Hong Kong business tycoon Jimmy Lai. Number 10 says this: we'll never trade economic access for our national security. We remain clear-eyed, they say, and realistic about the threats that China poses. That's a challenge to the Prime Minister. He's meeting with President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang this week in Beijing. They'll talk about trade, environment, migration and health issues, and maybe even sprucing up the British embassy in Beijing after the UK allowed China to build its super embassy in the city of London. On the way back, the PM is stopping in to Japan to meet its Prime Minister for more talks about business deals. Number 10 says this is part of its hard-headed, risk-based engagement with the world's major powers. He'll return to the UK, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, maybe with some business announcements to make to boost the UK economy. Whether he gets any credit for that, of course, is a different matter, with MPs openly questioning whether he can lead his party into the next general election. Christopher Hope for GB News at Heathrow Airport.
Yes, thank you, Christopher, for that report. Now, after weeks of speculation and delays, the government has finally unveiled its long-awaited plan to support pubs.
Today, I can confirm that from April, every pub in England will get 15% off its new business rates bill on top of the support announced at budget. Pubs' bills will then be frozen in real terms for a further 2 years. This support is worth £1,650 for the average pub just next year and will mean that around 3/4 of pubs will see their bills either fall or stay the same next year.
Well, is that enough? Not according to the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride, who says this is all too little, too late.
Mr. Speaker, the government has proved today that either they do not understand the damage they are doing or they do not care. Today's announcement is far too little, far too late.
Yeah. And what does it mean for other businesses on the high street again? What does it mean for, you know, hotels, for takeaways, for all sorts of shops that you're going to find there? Oscar Reddraw, political advisor, with his take and his view on this. They've tried to do something. Is it enough, Oscar?
No, it isn't. And in trying to do that something, they have changed position numerous times. It has been as a result, and actually just to, you know, GB News, I think, have done a really, really good job over the last few years, I would say the last year or so, in terms of giving voices to small business owners, because they know the environment better than the government, and that's obviously often the tragedy, because they want less government, they want less regulation and policy that directly affects their everyday businesses, and that includes it is business rates, of course. It is also the rise in the minimum wage, which sounds kind of cold and callous in a way, because we want people to be paid more. But the way the world is, they can't afford it, a small business, they have to let that person go. And then on top of that is obviously the employer's national insurance rises. So they've been absolutely hemmed in and suffocated. And the thing that is different from a huge, you know, multinational business and a small business, a pub, a club, you know, a community shop, whatever, is that it's often run by local people. It's often run by people who do it because they love it and they want to make money, obviously, for themselves and the business, but also the local economy. And this Labour government, and I'm trying to remain, of course, as fair as possible, because it is a tough environment out there in terms of the government does not have a lot of money, but is utterly seems hell-bent on simply misunderstanding what it requires for a small business to thrive.
The thing is with this, it's pubs, saving the pub, absolutely fine. The other hospitality industry, as Eamonn's mentioned, the restaurants, the nightclubs, and we know hairdressers and barbering are also in trouble as well. If those industries put pressure on the government, as pubs have and farmers have, rightly so, are we going to get another U-turn?
This government, the reality is, if you put, and this is a message to small businesses owners out there, if you apply, and you could say this is a criticism of a government with no strong leadership, but if you apply pressure to this government via MPs and campaigning or whatever, more than likely you will see a U-turn at the end of it, which is kind of terrifying because you want a government that makes the right decisions first off. But yeah, go out there and campaign if you're being unfairly treated as a business.
15 U-turns in 18 months.
Yeah, which is staggering, and 15 U-turns that have not been. And you'll see government ministers come out and defend those U-turns as, we've just repositioned slightly. We've just, we've listened and we've taken it on board. And now, no, they've been screeching U-turns. And that is ultimately because he doesn't have, number 10 and Keir Starmer at the moment, don't have the political capital to have those fights.
Oscar, thank you so much. Not cheered us up very much, but thank you very much, Oscar Rudrup.
I'm sitting here looking at a headline in the Telegraph newspaper which says Starmer led a witch hunt against Iraqi veterans. That's in the Telegraph this morning. But so let's talk about this now. This was part of a legal case the Prime Minister was involved in that opened the door to hundreds of soldiers being pursued for war crimes.
Yes.
Unearthed court documents suggest the now Prime Minister worked on a human rights claim back in 2007, which ultimately led the Ministry of Defence to order fresh inquiries into deaths in Iraq.
OK, former head of the British Army, Lord Dannatt, joins us now. Lord Dannatt, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Lord Dannatt, a shocking story, especially in the light that Keir Starmer worked on this for free. He didn't even have to do it. What do you make of it?
Well, it's an extraordinary story that I'm very disappointed to have read in the Telegraph. And as you say, it's even more extraordinary that he acted in this case without pay, which means that he was obviously personally interested and personally committed to see this thing through. And the result of his intervention way back in 2007 was that a number of soldiers, a large number of soldiers, were investigated time and again as a result of the judgment that he worked to achieve. Now, it turned out many years later, the law lords having passed a view, the thing then went to Strasbourg, that a solicitor's firm, a gentleman called Shiner, who eventually was struck off, it turned out that his firm was behind many of these cases, that a number of the cases were taken forward based on false information which had been generated. And frankly, the whole thing has been a complete disaster. And it's resulted in a large number of honest, hard-working soldiers who have been doing their duty in Iraq, and there were spillovers of similar situations in Afghanistan, being dragged through the courts after countless investigations. And if the Prime Minister has played a role in this, we need to see this exposed, and he needs to explain himself, because frankly it's an outrage. And in the context of what happened last week, quite rightly Keir Starmer spoke up against what Donald Trump had said. But frankly, soldiers shouldn't be politicised. Soldiers shouldn't be footballs. Soldiers get up in the morning to do their duty for Queen, our King and country, and they need to be supported. On the odd occasion, if something's gone wrong, no one's above the law, then soldiers should be brought to justice. But so many of these cases in Iraq were as a result of changed decisions, and I think evidence seems to show that Keir Starmer played a role in all this.
Lord Dannatt, it's a very sensitive area, and you of course being former head of the British Army there, and you're saying to people, look, we're in this together, we're here for you, you're here representing your country. But what if there were war crimes. Can we be sure that those would be rooted out, that those would be detected?
Well, it's very hard to say you can be completely sure, but the system is there that soldiers go about their duty doing what they do. The vast majority do what they do according to the law and with the best interests of the situation that they find themselves confronted with. That's what governs their actions. Now, if there are occasions when there are suspicions that something has gone wrong, then it's the duty of the chain of command to report these matters to the military police or to the respective authorities, and that these things are investigated. And if there is evidence that something wrong has been carried out, then quite rightly, investigation should be further, charges brought and matters brought before a court. As I said before, and we all agree, no one, not even soldiers doing their duty, are above the law.
Yeah.
But what we saw, and it was during my time as Chief of the General Staff, back between 2006 and 2009, the courts were ruling that previous investigations have been insufficient and that further investigations were carried out, sometimes multiple times, but invariably they resulted in no charges being laid and no convictions being sought. So we had an absolute litany of multiple investigations on multiple soldiers, which caused huge upset to these individuals. And that is not right. Soldiers have got to feel when they put the uniform on and go out on patrol, go out on duty at the beginning of the day, that their government will support them and will not carry out a witch hunt against them. And this has come back into light now in the light of the legislation being changed with regard to the troubles in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
These things have got to be looked at very carefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to undermine motivation and morale of soldiers. And frankly, young people will think to themselves, why would I bother to put the King's uniform on if actually the government is going to chase me and not support me?
I think you're absolutely right in what you're saying there. But Lord Dannon, I would see it, being from Northern Ireland and seeing the sensitivities of all of this. I find people in the rest of the United Kingdom, they just assume we're the good guys, all our soldiers are good, they're all doing a good job and whatever. And you go to Northern Ireland and you will know, as well as I do, there is so much hurt, there's so much a legacy of pain with so many people. Only last night I was looking at a report on the Northern Irish News, which was about a man, they say, who was shot in the head from soldiers as a sort of game that was going on. And this was, 37 years ago or whatever. And they don't feel they've got justice in this. But these claims, this way of people looking at who the army is and who they represent, it can be different. It'll be different in Iraq. It'll be different in Northern Ireland than it would be in Manchester, for instance. And it is a delicate, difficult situation, and it's about confidence, isn't it? Having confidence about the men and women in those uniforms.
Yes, Eamonn, I would completely agree with that. But I think in the context of Northern Ireland, I think one has to remember that the vast majority of killings were at the hands of terrorists, whether they're nationalists or loyalists. And the proportion of killings that were carried out by British soldiers was relatively small. I mean, less than 10%. The vast majority of those were by soldiers acting according to the law, carrying out their duty. I served in Northern Ireland many times, and frankly, when people are shooting at you, it is your duty actually to shoot back and to end the situation. Now, there may have been, and there were, a number of cases, I think a fairly small number of cases, where soldiers, over that 38-year operation that the British Army was involved in, did carry out illegal activities. But I believe it was a very small number of incidents, very small number of occasions, against the vast majority of days and years and months that many tens of thousands of soldiers in Northern Ireland were involved in. So I think these things have to be kept in proportion. And go back to my previous point, it is really important that soldiers and people thinking about becoming soldiers feel that their government, in whose name and on behalf of the sovereign that they are acting, will support them and will not subject them to endless and unnecessary and repeat investigations. And we've seen too much of that in Northern Ireland, in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Lord Dunnett, we are running short of time, unfortunately. Very quickly, though, I just want to put this to you. In Iraq, there was one soldier who was cleared of murder twice and was still pursued by Keir Starmer and the legal team for 13 years at huge expense to the British taxpayer, suffering suicidal thoughts. When you hear stories like this, do you have to question how loyal our Prime Minister is to our armed forces?
Well, Sergeant Catterall, I think his name is, 56-year-old grandfather now living in Wales. He's the person who had to suffer all this. Well, it comes back to where we started this conversation. I think we all need to have a cool, calm look and just see what exactly Keir Starmer's involvement in all this was. Asking ourselves the question, why was he prepared? Why was he so enthusiastic to be involved to work without pay? Because undoubtedly, the effects of the case that he was involved in unleashed a whole series of repeat investigations, repeat trials of soldiers, many of whom, almost all of whom, turned out to have acted properly. And the damage that that would have caused to those individuals' lives, to the reputation of the army, and the motivation of serving soldiers and potential soldiers in the future is huge. I think this should be thought through and investigated through thoroughly.
Lord Dunnett, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Lord Dunnett, former head of the British Army, speaking to us from Norfolk this morning. He's had his say. If you want your say, please do get in touch and register what you've got to record there. As the Prime Minister made clear last week, he will never forget the courage, bravery and sacrifice, he says, made for their country by British servicemen and women. Yeah, during his career, the Prime Minister has represented British soldiers who were killed in action and were wrongly accused. The Prime Minister did not represent the claimants in this case. He represented interveners, including the Law Society of England and Wales. The role of an intervener is to assist the court, and the Prime Minister was not involved in the subsequent case heard in the European Court of Human Rights. OK. Let's get an update on the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain, though, across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales, ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud, though, towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across the eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, and a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The reality star Olivia Attwood is the latest celebrity to weigh in on the Beckham family dispute, the wedding drama.
Yeah, the Love Island star seemingly took a jab at her mother-in-law on the Sunday Roast podcast, following a recent split from her husband, Bradley Dack.
Weddings does something to mothers. There's a chemical change in their brain happens when their son or daughter gets married.
Hi, Jen. Hope you're well.
All across the board, it's like just massively inappropriate.
Well, that's what Olivia had to say. We were asking, is it time to stop making mother-in-laws the family villains?
Joining us now is actress Debbie Arnold and broadcaster Nigel Pawley. Debbie, let's come to you first. Mother-in-laws, the wicked witches of the family. Is it time to stop implying that's the case?
It always have been. I mean, Les Dawson wouldn't have had an act without his mother. But the thing is, it's true. I mean, I am the mother-in-law from hell. And I'm now the ex-mother-in-law from hell. Can you imagine? That must be even worse than being the mother-in-law from hell. But I think it's very important. You know, when you have children, you are always on the side of your child. So what happens with the other one, you don't really care about the son-in-law. If he's not being very nice to your daughter, then you obviously have a go at him. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you, Nigel?
I didn't think that the mother-in-law in the Beckham wedding was being unpleasant. She was. Well, anyway, I think mother-in-laws actually have a place in life. They're not perfect. They have love. I feel sorry for Victoria Beckham, actually. It must be difficult when you're used to being the centre of attention, to suddenly being not the richest person in the room, not the most famous, and also just not the bride. So, you know, they have feelings. My mother-in-law was a mother-in-law from hell, but The bonus was we didn't speak for a year. So, there are moments. I think women struggle with sons. They're always close to their sons. Victoria was close to her son, and in her case, she went over the top.
I mean, I'm sure we've been
Debbie
told.
would be a lovely mother-in-law to have, or ex-mother-in-law. But the best thing with mother-in-laws is to stay away. There must be a reason why you mentioned Les Dawson, who was around years ago, Morecambe and Wise, Bernard Manning. There must be a reason and even Shakespeare. Let's not forget Shakespeare 500-600 years ago. All had mother-in-laws has an issue. It's not a new thing. It didn't start a couple of weeks ago. It's just part and parcel of life, which we have to accept, or in my case, just don't see them very often.
Well, yeah,
Debbie?
but the thing is, with my children, I am not the mother-in-law from hell, but I do stick on their side. And I think with Victoria, what really upsets me about her is that I think she's it's not about being the richest person in the room. I'm sure it wasn't about any of that. I'm sure it was just that she wanted her baby boy. And I think as a mother, I am a grandmother of 3 boys, and I'm about to become the grandmother-in-law from hell.
I've got 5 granddaughters, but the thing is, you've got to let your children go. At the end of the day, Brooklyn was brought up in a very cosseted society area. It was used as a PR accessory. Privacy was protected from people like myself and Dawn, although they were quite happy to use them for their own ends. However, there comes a point when you're 26 years old and getting married that the mother has to say, go and live your own life, son. And, I won't do an embarrassing dance in front of you and upset the bride and the bride's mother and everyone else who was in the room, apart from the close society. I fully sympathise with you, Debbie, about wanting to stick up for your brother, your son, or your children. But in this case, I don't know what Victoria was sticking up for, to be honest.
Guys, unfortunately, we've got to say to you two, go and live your own lives. We're out of time. Thank you both very much indeed for adding fuel.
Lovely to see you both.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you as well. If you've got anything about what the guys, Debbie and Nigel, were saying there, please do have your say. Here's the Great British Giveaway.
There's just 3 days to grab your chance to win, as our biggest cash prize to date is up for grabs. An incredible £85,000, and it really could be yours. That's tax-free cash to spend all throughout 2026. Enough money to make this year your best year ever. Just one entry could secure it. But you have to hurry, as lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. Together, we have built something truly extraordinary.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M60 anti-clockwise at junction 3, a crash has shut 2 of 4 lanes, with traffic improving after 8 this morning. On Bedfordshire's M1 southbound between junction 14 and 13, congestion is adding around 15 minutes, easing after 7:45 this morning. In North Yorkshire, the A19 southbound between the A61 and the A168 has a lane closed for roadworks, clearing before 9:15 this morning. On the trains, TransPennine Express has major disruption between Huddersfield and Manchester Victoria, while Great Western Railway warns poor weather may affect services across the network. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
The Winter Olympics are now how far away, Paul?
We are a week and a bit away from the Winter Olympics. And you know what I want to do? Because you know how much I love the Winter Olympics, I want to learn more about sports that maybe we don't know about enough.
Like,
how about cross-country skiing? The Norwegians are the best at cross-country skiing. I've got a list here. Norway, 52 gold, 43 silver, 34 bronze medals over the Olympics. I don't think we've won anything.
No, I've tried it once. It's brilliant.
There is a chance. Joe Davis is our cross-country skier for Team GB, who's going to be at the Winter Olympics, who joins us right now. Morning, Joe.
Morning. How's it going?
Yeah, really good. Great to see you. Firstly, now, Canadian, British, Team GB, yes. We're pleased to have you. So how comes you're skiing for us, which we're very pleased about?
Yeah, pleased to be a part of it. Thanks for having me. I grew up in Canada, yeah, my dad's from the UK, and I've always had a bit of a strong connection there. And went up through the Canadian system. Things weren't really going how I wanted it to, and luckily the British team had two really great coaches at the time who reached out to me, and so now it's my fourth season with them, and I've loved every second of it.
Brilliant. Now, a dream, I imagine, to be in the Winter Olympics. This is your first. Is it when you were growing up in Canada that you saw it for the first time?
Yeah, well, so I'm from Whistler, so I saw the Vancouver 2010 Olympics.
Yeah.
I was actually I always joke about it that I was... I had only just kind of discovered skiing in 2010, and then Andrew Young and Andrew Musgrave were already competing at those games, so I always say that to make them feel a little old.
So how is it then? So it's literally, it's like 10,000 metres, because I know you got a good result, didn't you, recently in the World Cup? So, you know, you're in with a good shot here. So how exactly does this work for the people that do not understand cross-country skiing? It's not like the biathlon where you've got to shoot. This is just purely skiing. Is it round a track? It's just across anywhere? How does it work?
So we just have a track. There's different disciplines. So you have the 10K, which is what I just got a good result in, and that's generally 2 times a 5K loop. Then we also have the sprint discipline, so shorter, 1.2 kilometers, somewhere around there. And then you have, qualifier and heats for that race. And then we also have the skiathlon event, which is probably the most foreign to people who don't know skiing, and that's where you'll do both classic discipline, 10 kilometers, transition to skate skis, and then do 10 kilometer skate. And then also the final discipline of the Olympics is the 50 kilometer, which is always a fun one to watch and obviously one of the hardest.
I was going to imagine 50 kilometres. That must be absolutely exhausting. Are you doing all of these?
I will be doing everything except for the sprint. I'm not much of a sprinter, but I'll be doing the 10K, the skiathlon, which is 20K, and then the 50K, yeah.
So how hopeful are you? Because I'm pinning a lot of hopes on you here, Joe. I'm ever so sorry about this, but I am. Like I say, the Norwegians, I guess it's the Scandinavian countries, particularly good. How hopeful are you of getting somewhere?
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to go into these games with just the attitude of trying to have fun. And normally when I'm just enjoying myself, I'll have my best races. But I fully believe that I have it in me to get a top 10 there. That's kind of where I'm shooting.
We wish you all the luck. Where are you now, by the way? I can see the hotel. Are you in Italy?
Yeah, I'm at a little apartment in Seefeld, Austria. That's where we're doing our pre-camp. So I'll head down to the village on the 4th.
Joe, great to speak to you. Very best of luck. We're all behind you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. So,
good, young, balanced lad there.
Isn't he?
We wish him luck.
I do.
Brilliant, absolutely.
I'm trying to find my niche in Winter Olympics.
Might take a while,
I think that may be a tricky one for me. So
Finding their niche with the papers today, Claire Muldoon and Tim Vincent, right after this.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's been very unsettled across southern Europe so far this week, and there is more heavy thundery rain to come, even some significant hill snow through the next few days. Tomorrow is going to be very wet across much of Spain, Portugal and also North Morocco. Several hundred millimetres of rain building up through this week, and it's also very unsettled further east across the Mediterranean. Strong winds leading to large waves and also some heavy thundery rain. More changeable weather to come into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
You can see, for some bizarre reason, we've been here all morning at the 1B tap here in Great Harwood, but now they've trusted me to come behind the bar. Now, we are, as promised, going to have a go at pulling a pint. It's my first ever time pulling a cask ale pint, so don't judge me too harshly. But, of course, a pint of beer or lager is such a staple image. When we think of a pub, we think of a pint, don't we? This is Kelly, who is the landlady here at the 1B tap. Now, to demonstrate the pint, I'm going to give it a pull. But while I'm doing so, I'm going to pass you the microphone. I want you to tell our viewers at home and Dawn in the studio about all the things that we might not think about when we think about a pint of beer, all the things that go into running a pub like this one. So I'll hand you the microphone. You tell us while I have a go at this. Don't judge me too harshly, Dawn.
Amazing. So obviously people don't take into effect that the energy costs and the raw material costs, also the packaging, overheads and the tax hikes. So when we're pulling a pint of beer, we have to think about the cost that's gone into making the beer and the rises in that. We also have to think about the overheads, the staff, the electrics which are plumbed in to pouring a pint. This obviously is very astronomical to pubs, because if it increases, we're therefore going to have to put that onto the consumer, making the pint of beer more expensive.
Now, I'll take that back from you. I think we can see. Now, some people at home might think that's not a very good pint, but you've told me, because it's cask ale, that this is slowly going to work up. Everyone in the pub's having a good look at this now. I'm here in my ear. I'm being told it's not bad, that, so I'll take it for my first time. Now, it's a difficult time for pubs, this. As you were mentioning there, all of these overhead costs that you've got.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
I saw something in the paper yesterday, and I saw it online, and I thought, this is a hoax. This couldn't be true. And here to tell me if it is or not, Claire Muldoon and Tim Vincent. Claire, it was a travel firm advertising tickets for the Cheltenham Festival, right? Cheltenham Festival, the race.
Fair enough.
Except not in Cheltenham.
No.
In Spain.
Yes.
In Benidorm.
Yeah.
So you go in your shorts and whatever, and you go and watch a big screen in Benidorm.
For 330 quid, all inclusive, right? In the sun, beside the pool, with your aperitif beverage of choice, against paying 280 quid for said festival, in the pouring rain, in the cold.
It often snows at Cheltenham.
Well, I know, but horse racing's not really my bag in any event, but I think they've really cottoned on to something here. And who was it that said the World Cup, they're doing something for the World Cup?
Yeah, the World Cup are doing the same. There's lots of packages you can get to Benidorm
Isn't
now
that lovely?
to watch
You
the
can
World
just
Cup.
sit it with your mates, sit and watch.
You just sit and watch a big screen.
Basically, yeah, in the sun with cheap pints.
It's ironic, though, isn't it? You've got to think of your carbon footprint.
Why?
There. Well,
oh, my goodness me, Tim.
I was at a party tail end of last year in London, 4 people from Manchester. 2 had flown from Manchester to
London. Because it's cheaper than getting the train?
Hugely cheaper. Hundreds of pounds cheaper to fly to London to attend an event and fly back. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, it is, but that's the infrastructure of the railways at the moment, I'm afraid.
Well, it's not.
I've flown up to Newcastle because it was cheaper than that to get the train. I've also flown to Mexico City to see Oasis because it was cheaper to do that, spend 5 nights in a city I hadn't been, than get a ticket here to see said band.
Just to see your love. The love of your life.
Well,
I think it makes a lot of sense. With the World Cup, obviously, you've just got the England fans and the Scottish fans out there at the same time, though, Claire.
Well, Scotland fans are very well behaved. They normally pick up really good awards for being very well behaved. And don't you scoff, they do.
Well, Tim, as far as you're concerned, you've got a good few years to go before you reach your creative peak.
Oh, we like the story.
The Daily Mail is telling us, and we're sort of all looking on here, hoping this story is right.
I think we've all got a little way to go yet, but apparently the Super 60s, we reach our creative peak at the age of 67, so we've all got ages to go. But what's surprising in this report is who's already 67? Madonna, 67. Kevin Bacon, Tim Burton, I could kind of understand. Gary Oldman, maybe. But there's loads of people out there that are already in their creative zenith. They're already putting out more than they ever done before. 63% feel more creative than when they were in their 30s.
Madonna's past her peak. She's not producing or letting anything else.
I'll let you have Liam Gallagher.
I'm not letting you have Madonna, Tim.
I am.
No,
Madonna's
you're not.
still very raunchy and sexy and somebody that I could...
At 67, have you seen the pictures of her recently?
Yes,
absolutely. No way.
Well, also, Paul Weller's in that category as well, and he's still producing.
Super sexy.
Yeah.
But the report says that at 67, you're obviously mainly starting to retire or take a step back. That's when your creative juices flow.
Well,
that
Gary
you take
Oldman
up something new, like learning a new language, going to concerts more. So something to look forward to in your 60s.
Well, I think it's very true, because I do think, I mean, speaking from experience, I think that this country is ageist, is absolutely ageist, and sort of our industry is ageist.
Which is ironic, because we do have money to spend, you know. We're actually, well, a little bit more than somebody that's Generation X and Z, that only 25% haven't had a drink in the last 12 months. At least our 56-year-olds still drink. Please make eye contact with me, Claire. We've been out for an evening where we've...
I think the names you've mentioned in that story, Tim, are knocking the ageism out of society. They're still iconic, they still look good, they're still producing great work. So I think being in your 60s now is a brilliant thing, isn't it, Eamonn?
I think it should be. I think it should be. And I think people should be encouraged, and they shouldn't be written off at 60 or 65 or whatever. So I think that's quite good.
60 is the new 50.
Let's talk about how long's left? 2 minutes, right. You see here, post at Christmas. I think, sadly, sending Christmas cards now, which is a lovely thing, but I think it's confined to the dustbin.
I think you're right.
Really. And what are the latest figures saying?
Well, we are up 16 million from 10.7 last year on
Christmas card deliveries post-Christmas. 1 in 3 of us got some Christmas meal after Christmas. And they put that down to first-class stamps being now double the price of 2022 or something, £1.70. I remember when I first got married, the amount of cards we got in was about 60 cards.
Yeah.
I had about 12 cards through the post this year.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you, and
it's really sad.
And I'm guilty of it myself because I don't send them.
Well, as a Mail, it's a great excuse that we did send them, Eamonn, but it's down to the terrible Royal Mail that they didn't receive them.
Well,
I sent hundreds this year.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Didn't get mine, Tim.
Yeah, sorry, next year,
sorry,
definitely. I will make sure it's FedEx next year. I actually did you know when you pay extra to have something signed on delivery? It still wasn't signed. 5 working days, 19 days later, it's still in the mass of where the...
Let's have a quick look at Idris Elba, Sir Idris Elba now. We've got half a minute now on his moped.
Former James Bond candidate has now been fined and it's been upheld that he was on his moped doing something like 27 miles an hour in a 20 that was formerly a 30. 3 points, he had to go to court, had to have a lawyer. It's what we're talking about, the low-hanging fruit here. We know who you are because of the registration, so we're going to go after you to make a bit of money. The Hounslow Council, which covers where I live, have been told off for not saying the word fine. Okay. So it is a fine as far as I'm concerned.
There it is.
Robbery.
Well, there we are. What would you do? Let us know. Have your say. Here's Alex Burkle. Good morning, Alex.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain there across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud, though, towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, then a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 10 million followers across our social media platforms. We're truly honoured to have your trust, one follower at a time.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A720 westbound before Sheriff Hall, a broken down vehicle is partly blocking the road, so take care on approach. The A489 is closed both ways between Kaya-Suz and Newtown after a vehicle fire. In North Yorkshire, the A19 southbound between the A61 and the A168 has one lane shut, with clearing expected around 9:33 this morning. And on the trains, Trans-Pennine Express has major disruption between Huddersfield and Manchester Victoria, while Great Western Railway reports poor weather affecting services across the network. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you. The Prime Minister and his team take burner phones, disposable phones, to China to combat spying.
Yeah, dozens of disposable devices have been issued to the government delegation tasked with building bridges with Beijing.
Well, sources suggested that no government equipment is being taken to China because of concerns over surveillance by the Chinese.
It comes as it's revealed China hacked the mobiles of senior officials in Downing Street for several years during the Conservative government.
So can Britain rebuild relations without putting security on the line?
Meanwhile, it's been revealed the Prime Minister led a witch hunt against Iraq war veterans in a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes.
Business rates backtrack. The government announces it will be giving pubs and music venues a 15% discount on rates bills from April. However, hospitality still feels left out in the cold.
And Britain feels the force of Storm Chandra as part of the country are hit with the heavy rain and flooding that storm caused.
With temperatures dropping last night, there's plenty of ice around this morning, leading to some pretty difficult conditions. Otherwise, a lot of dry and bright weather to be had today. Stick around to find out the details.
And some sport in the Champions League. It's the league phase finale as all 36 teams play at the same time, which is 8 o'clock tonight. Coco Gauff loses in the Australian Open and tries to smash up her racket in private. And the Olympic torch relay reaches Cortina on the 70th anniversary of the last time the Winter Olympics were held there.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. Thank you very much for your company. However, you're watching or listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is indeed GB News Breakfast.
High-powered delegation arrives in China and everybody goes, "We've got you fixed, we've got you sorted, we've got Tesco phones here, you're never going to listen to us."
I've changed the SIM card, that'll show them.
That'll show them. That'll show them.
It's ridiculous because the burner phones are all made in China. It's like, what on earth do they think they're doing? I mean, it's just insane. It really is. And what are we going to get out of this visit? That's what I want to know. How much trade are we actually going to get from the Chinese? who seem to buy...
They're going to get to build a big embassy in London.
But they've already got that. We don't need to negotiate that. That's all been approved.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, they build that and they spend whatever money around that. So outside that, what else do they...
Tit for tat. We build a really big embassy over there. How about that?
That's true.
Yeah, a really, really big one. Even bigger. Brinksmanship.
And we can send lots of our politicians over there and leave them over there.
There you go.
That sounds like a cracker.
Do you know what the Chinese aren't noted for? I mean, they're noted for many things. They're a world superpower and whatever it is. But when it comes to big spectator sport, they don't do it, do they? They don't do football. They don't do...
Had a go. They did have a go, but they didn't work out.
They do, I mean, you don't know. You don't sit and think in the world. You think, right, well, they're probably good at karate or whatever it is. But what are the Chinese good at, sports-wise?
Well, you know what? They did start winning everything. Swimming. But then again, there was a lot of suspicious...
Yes.
I smell something strange going on here. World records that were going... by the dozen load, so there was swimming and there's different... But I don't know what you...
I think they're making a little bit of an impact in snooker nowadays.
Yeah, snooker as well. We've got a good snooker players.
But they're not into their darts or anything like that.
I don't think... I know.
Not yet. Give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time.
Yeah.
And where are darts made? China. Just
table tennis as well.
Indeed. OK, now, I think we are going to cross live to Westminster and speak to a Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Alex Burkhart. Alex, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So, good to see you in London, not off to China, then, obviously. What do we make of this trip?
Yeah, and I think the thing with the Chinese trip is I don't really know what we're supposed to be getting out of it. I know that there's a lot of talk about how this is going to improve trade, but it's coming off the back of the fact that we had revelations, I think, 2 days ago, that between 2021 and 2024, the Chinese government was hacking phones of people who worked in Downing Street. And I'd really have hoped that the Prime Minister might have said something about that before he went. And I very, very much hope that he will raise it while he's there, because, whilst there's some economic opportunity from China, there's also a very large amount of security risk. And I don't know that the government is taking that seriously at the moment.
But would the Chinese take it seriously, Alex? I mean, you can say, no, about this phone hacking that you did at Downing Street, and they go, phone hacking? We know nothing about that. What are you talking about? I don't know how open our direct conversation is, even though we all know it took place.
Yeah, well, it's the job of the British Prime Minister to make it open. Like you have to stand up to people who are trying to undermine you. And if that means standing up to them publicly, that's what you've got to do. But I don't think what the Prime Minister should be doing is going over to Beijing and pretending that everything is fine and that this is just a normal trading relationship. It isn't. That the Chinese do not behave like an ally when it comes to national security. They're constantly trying to hack into our systems. And, this is a government that has been locking up people in large camps in Xinjiang and so on. So this isn't a normal relationship, and it shouldn't be treated as a normal relationship.
Alex, do you think it's a case of the government actually, trading in the economic lifeline for national security?
Look, I think that there is an element to that. I think this government, because the disastrous decisions it made at the budget, is now scrabbling around to try and find growth anywhere. But it's not going to find it because it's put taxes up on British people, taxes up on British businesses. It's made the cost of living considerably higher, and there isn't going to be any growth. You can do all the deals you want with China or with the EU, but it's not going to solve the problem if you've got the wrong tax and regulation policy.
Alex, has the government done a deal on high street business rates? Have they done enough to make things easier and more prosperous for traders?
No, I mean, this is pitiful. It's too little, too late. What the government should be doing is what the Conservatives said, what Kemi announced at party conference in October, just scrap business rates, right? You cut public spending, scrap business rates. That's what's going to breathe life into our high streets. The tiny concession they made yesterday is a small reduction in the increase. And I was visiting one of my pubs in Brentwood, in my constituency in Essex the other day, and the landlord got out his bills and he said it's basically going to double. And that rise is still going to be in place tomorrow. Still going to be in place after their mitigations. So I think this is pitiful, and I very much hope we see the government back down fully on this and recognise that what they're doing is destroying pubs and destroying high streets.
I mean, but I suppose what they're trying to do is to raise revenue for the exchequer, and yet you look at this and you say, well, they seem to be destroying business by doing all this and not raising the same revenue. What do you think the answer is if they need to raise money and you say don't do it this way? What way would they do it? Could they do it?
You need to cut public spending, right? The government is spending too much, it's borrowing too much. What it needs to do is spend less money, and if it does that, what it'll be able to do is cut people's taxes and get growth. It's very simple, but it's not how the Labour Party think. And nobody in the Labour cabinet ever worked in business. They have absolutely no experience of the private sector. They don't know what it's like to have to put paychecks out for your staff. They don't know what it's like to have to lay people off when business is tough because the government's made the wrong decisions. And consequently, they're just taking us down this very big dead end, which is going to be bad for everyone in the country. It's going to be very bad for your viewers. It's going to be bad for all of the local high streets. And ultimately, it's going to be a mess that the next government's going to have to clear up.
Alex, one final question for you. Front page of the Telegraph today. Starmer led a witch hunt against Iraq veterans, which he did for free when he was a human rights lawyer, meaning implying he had a vested interest in this. Do you think our Prime Minister is a supporter of our armed forces? Could he be doing more for them? Was this a witch hunt?
And I don't think that our Prime Minister does support our forces, and I've been leading the opposition in the House of Commons to the Northern Ireland Troubles Bill, which is going to reopen investigations and vexatious litigation into the brave people who served in Northern Ireland between 1966 and 1998. The Conservative government put an end to that, drew a line in the sand, said, this is over now. And instead, the Labour Party has decided that it's going to reopen the whole thing. And Keir Starmer won't listen to reason. We had Mark Francois, my colleague, invite a whole load of veterans down to Westminster the other day to protest. I didn't see anybody from the Labour Party come out and meet them. We took them up into the gallery of the House of Commons. Kemi sat them down, gave them a cup of tea, and listened to them. We will fight that legislation every step of the way. And I really, I hope the Prime Minister changes his mind. But I think that's, if you look back on his career, he's always been on the side of the human rights lawyers and not on the side of the troops.
And yet, Alex, the other week he was saying brave and courageous British armed forces to Donald Trump. Did he mean it?
Yeah, look, I think what Donald Trump said about our soldiers in Afghanistan was completely wrong. But I don't. What matters what matters more than what people say is what they do. And if they're praising our troops while at the same time opening up vexatious litigation into what happened in Northern Ireland 30 years ago, then you have to judge a man on his actions.
Okay.
Alex, you need a medal after persevering with us there and keeping that earpiece in your ear all at the same time. So we'll let you go and pull it out.
Folks. Cheers.
But thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Alex, and not to mention the idiots with the board behind him. In any case, GB News political correspondent Olivia Utley joins us now. Olivia, good to see you. This delegation to China, lots of questions about what we are actually going to get from it.
Yes, lots of questions and very few specific answers from the Prime Minister. He's been on a red-eye flight overnight with political editors, including our very own Chris Hope. They've been firing questions at him, but he's only prepared to talk in generalities. He said that he wants some sort of cooperation on trade, on health, on investment, on migration. But when asked specific questions, he clams up. We're not expecting any sort of official trade deal with China, but he's bringing with him 50 British CEOs, as well as the business secretary and the chancellor. So obviously a lot of this visit is going to be concerned with investment and trade. Otherwise, he obviously wants to get into President Xi's good books. When asked whether the Uyghur Muslims were being subjected to genocide, he refused to give a straight answer. So this is definitely a sort of a buttering up kind of a trip, although I don't think we can expect the sort of press conference that we saw with David Cameron in 2015, which of course came back to bite him, that golden era of China that was talked about so many years ago. Whether the Prime Minister has made the right decision leaving at all is another question which I think we can expect to come up at Prime Minister's questions at 12 o'clock today. The Prime Minister has spent a sixth of his time as Prime Minister, 16% of his time abroad. That's a lot of time with deputies filling in for him in the Commons, when obviously there are lots of domestic issues, not least the prospect for pubs and the rest of the hospitality sector subject to its business rates and now subject to that 15% cut. David Lammy will be filling in for Keir Starmer today. Last time the Foreign Secretary filled in for the Prime Minister, it went pretty badly wrong, with James Cartledge, the Shadow Defence Secretary, putting him on the spot on an escaped prisoner. I think hopefully it'll be a little bit quieter today at Prime Minister's questions. But some people are suggesting that perhaps the Prime Minister shouldn't be going on what some are calling a sort of jolly over to China, with so many biting, pressing domestic issues back at home.
Good there, appreciate it. The time, 13 minutes now past 8 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. Let's get the latest on this storm that hit us all yesterday. We're going to go to Devon. Will Godley there for us this morning to tell us what the aftermath is like. Will, good morning to you.
Well, morning to you, Eamonn. Yeah, this is Tipton St John, a village in Devon, and behind me the River Otter, where yesterday recorded its highest level on record. And what does that look like? Well, where I'm standing now, yesterday the water would have been up to my waist, but as quickly as it has come, it has now receded. And for the first time today, residents able to see the devastation. In fact, residents telling me yesterday you could only see this top bit of the railings, the rest of it absolutely covered in floodwater. And what has that done? Well, this bench was normally on that side of the railing next to the riverbanks. Well, it's been brought in here, and have a look at the destruction in this play park. You can see the flooring totally ripped up here under the swings, totally destructed. And not just there though, here by this the slide as well, totally torn up the tarmac. And I speak now to Mark, the chairman of this park. Mark, it's not the first time Tipton's been flooded, but nonetheless, residents seem shocked today to look at the destruction.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's definitely a shock waking up this morning and seeing the complete destruction of what's happened here. Yeah, it's hit the community massively.
And as a chairman of the park, how does it make you feel seeing the flooring like this, seeing the destruction that it's brought?
It's not a great sight, is it? It's we spend a lot of money sort of keeping the park, for the community. It's a community hub here. We're not funded by anybody else. We're just done by donations. So yeah, it's an expensive fix.
And you've got a GoFundMe set up. You've got a community clean-up day on Saturday. How important is that for the community?
Massively. It's, as I said before, we are a massive part of the community hub. We hold events here and everything. So it's nice to see the support of the community coming out to help us.
Well, Mark, thank you very much indeed. It's not just the park, though, damaged as well. As we were driving here, we saw a number of cars abandoned with their windows down, people climbing out of them yesterday as that water came in incredibly quickly. And you can see just how quickly it came in from the pressure that it brought in from the fences here on these tennis courts. And you can see just how high it came up, about a metre or so from the kind of leaves that are still on the fence. And the chairman of the tennis club now, Ken, is here as well. How does it make you feel seeing this destruction?
Well, it's pretty devastating. We're a small village tennis club, but we play in local leagues and we take a pride in having a good quality playing surface and everything. And look at this now. It's a huge amount of work to get this back into a decent playing condition for our members and everyone.
And when was the last time you saw flooding as bad as this?
Well, we do get floods from time to time. The last really bad one was back in 2007 and 2008 when these courts were actually completely destroyed and we had to have them completely relaid. So it's not quite as bad as that, but it's pretty devastating all the same. A huge amount of work for our members to put this back into a decent condition.
Well, sorry to hear that, Ken. Huge amount of work here, not just here, but across the county. Still today, 57 schools closed in Devon and a major incident declared in Somerset as well, as Storm Chandra and the effects continue to be felt today.
That's really frightening to see, Will, what you've got there and the state of the tennis courts there and whatever. I know that's, nothing major compared to disruption, that are caused to riverbanks and pavements and all sorts of things. Will, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much indeed. So that was one part of the country. Will was in Devon there, showing you the picture there. And we know, I know personally in Northern Ireland, it was very, very bad, just really bad flooding that we'd never seen before. And so other parts of the country, if you've got pictures, anything you want to report on, have your say today on that. And can we do anything about it? Is it all, you know, a change of weather? Is it just winter? Is it global warming? Have your say, and let's see what we come out with.
Yeah, well, can we just clear drains a bit more efficiently and make sure fields are drained properly and not build on floodplains? Any case, let's get the full weather update with Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain though across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud though towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across the eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, and then a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Sounds like you might need to invest in a new pair of wellies and a brolly. Well, we can help with that because it's time for the Great British Giveaway. You can buy a lot of wellies because it's £85,000. Could all be yours. Only a few days left, so get your entries in now. Here's how you do it.
There's just 3 days to grab your chance to win, as our biggest cash prize to date is up for grabs, an incredible £85,000, and it really could be yours. That's tax-free cash to spend all throughout 2026. Enough money to make this year your best year ever. Just one entry could secure it, but you have to hurry, as lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Still to come this morning on the news front, the Daily Telegraph newspaper reports that Keir Starmer was part of a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes.
Yeah, that's all.
Not a very popular subject with you, it has to be said.
No.
But could they have done it? What happens when they do? Next.
Yes.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Was William Shakespeare a black Jewish woman? Well, that's what a sensational, to say the least, new book is claiming. Author Irene Coslet argues that centuries of Western-centric ideology has hidden the true authorship of the Shakespearean canon and points to Emilio Bassano, a poet with Tudor court connections, as the real writer behind the plays. According to the theory, a woman of North African origin used the pen name Shakespeare only for her work to be stolen by an uneducated man from Stratford-upon-Avon. So tonight, I'm asking, is British history being rewritten or even erased in the name of modern identity politics? I'm now delighted to be joined for the first time on the show, founder of the YouTube channel History Revealed, Joel. Thanks for joining me, Joel. And activist Eamonn. Thank you very much for joining me, both of you. Eamonn, I'll start with you and then I'll let Joel respond directly to your statement. Do you think British history is being erased?
Well, no, but let me just be clear. I think we've been manipulated by a very hot article from Telegraph. It basically led us all to believe that this woman, who was technically supposed to be erasing Shakespeare because she was the original, and now our history as English British people is being erased. Well, that title was actually wrong, because Emilia wasn't actually black, nor was she African, nor was she North African. So I'll stop taking the mick and I'll just explain that she had a white mother who was English.
Yeah,
she had a father who was Italian. No. If we're going to talk about it, let's be clear. Her father was Italian, Spanish. There was no actual link in terms of her actually being North African.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to GB News Breakfast. It is 25 minutes past 8 already. Gosh, time's flying already. Now, the Telegraph this morning is reporting that Keir Starmer was part of a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes.
Unearthed court documents suggest the now Prime Minister worked on a human rights claim. This was back in 2007, and it led the Ministry of Defence to order fresh inquiries into these deaths in Iraq.
Yeah, a former British Army spokesman, Major Michael Shearer, joins us now. Very good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I found this story particularly shocking, mainly because Keir Starmer did this for free, meaning that he obviously had some kind of vested interest in it. He wasn't earning money from it. So what do you make of it?
Exactly right. Look, I was there in 2007, and the article that you referred to in the Telegraph, it basically accuses the Prime Minister of being ideologically hostile towards soldiers. And you asked a good question, why pro bono? Why would you go out of your way to do this at no cost to yourself? I mean, people have to make a living, even barristers. So there's something dreadful that lies underneath this. And if you're doing it for nothing, it indicates that you are interested in the outcome. And not on his own, by the way. He had his sidekick, Hermer, with him, I understand. Look, this man, our Prime Minister, has got questions to answer about this. He supported Phil Shiner's claims. Look, of all the claims that were made, almost 4,000, well, 3,392 claims, 2/3 of those were linked to Shiner's office. and the Prime Minister had done some work with him.
Shiner is the discredited solicitor that was in charge of the cases.
Exactly right. I had bane of my life at the time. Just the whole flavour of this. Last week, the Labour Party won a House of Commons vote to remove immunity for up-banner veterans. That is the soldiers that were working in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Now, I mean, this is just nuts. If we are going to give terrorists, the IRA, letters of comfort to say, relax, we're not going to pursue you, surely we can do the same for our veterans.
And why do you think this? I mean, how is this going to help people wanting to go into the military? We know we have a problem with our military at the moment. We're underfunded, we don't have enough staff, at a time when the world has never looked more hostile. What message is this sending out to our armed forces that our Prime Minister cared so little about serving men and women in Iraq that he was actually actively going after them?
Look, it's dreadful. The security of our country is on its knees, as is most other departments, but the security is arguably the most important. Look, I predict that by Easter, the Prime Minister, through his lackluster policies, will have recruited criminal illegal immigrants into this country through boats coming across the Channel greater than the size of the British Army. Now, he certainly knows how to recruit them. You make a good point. Why would anybody want to join the armed forces when they know that as soon as they do their day's work, they may well be being pursued by the government? Look, who is the Prime Minister working for? There's a litany of things going on. The Chagos Islands, giving away 35 to 47 billion pounds. The Super Chinese Spy Embassy, paving the way for illegal immigrants. You know, to the Prime Minister, boats mean votes. Allowing Islamist ideology to thrive. We still haven't prescribed the Islamic Republican Guard Corps yet. Pakistani rape games, the attack on farmers, energy bills, taxing education, small business, landlords. Oh my goodness, I could go on. But there's something desperately wrong with our political elite right now in government.
Well, Michael, very interestingly put. Thank you for talking to us today. And Major Michael Shearer outlining there more illegal immigrants in the country than there would be members of the armed forces there, for instance.
Yeah.
Your views, who is running the country? What is the Prime Minister's interests? If you've got a view, share them with us. Please do have your say.
Yeah, and just to give those numbers, over 40,000 illegal boat migrants in a year, and the army at the moment is around about 70,000. So we are heading in that direction. OK, now a Downing Street spokesperson has said the Prime Minister will never forget the courage, bravery and sacrifice made for their country by British servicemen and women. During his career, he has represented British soldiers who were killed in action and were wrongly accused. The Prime Minister did not represent the claimants in this case. He represented interveners, including the Law Society of England and Wales.
OK, 31 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Hope your day is going well so far. If you're out and about travelling today, here's what's happening on the roads.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A720 westbound before Sheriff Hall, a broken down vehicle partially blocks the road. The M4 eastbound at junction 33 has heavy congestion on the off-slip. In Bedfordshire, Northamptonshire's M1 southbound between junction 14 and junction 13 is running about 30 minutes slow. In Worcestershire, the M5 southbound between junction 7 and junction 8 has a lane closed after an incident, causing delays. And on the trains, TransPennine Express has major disruption between Huddersfield and Manchester Victoria. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Lots to come, including drama in the Australian Open. Paul Coyte will be talking about that and the rest of the sport next. Keep it here.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I just had a story here to share about the traders.
Yes.
And it's very interesting, newsworthy.
Are you going to do a spoiler? He wants to spoil it for me.
Spoiler alert!
When did the programme actually give a result?
I didn't watch it.
We all wait for a year until Paul Coyte decides he's going to watch it. A lot of nonsense.
You're being mean to
It's like people
Coyte.
say, "Oh, don't tell me the football result. I'm going to put my fingers in my ears." And
Oh, look at his little face. Oh, you upset him.
It's not
Anyway,
upset me.
Appears I'm not here. It's only appears he wanted the camera there, which is stuck on you. But anyway, I'm not going to tell you. So you haven't watched the traders, and therefore we have got to keep quiet.
Did I say that? No, I didn't say that.
Right.
Yes, you did.
Can I do my job?
You do your job.
Be a first.
What's your job at the minute?
what do you do,
doing
Coyte?
today?
I'm doing a little sport for you.
What's it?
When you give me time, that is.
have you got?
I'm here to do some sport. Champions League. Let me explain to the Champions League. This is going to start rattling your chains.
He loves
well,
this.
I know. Champions League, right, so it's the finale. It's the last day of the league phase. The top 8 go straight through into the last 16. 9 to 24 go into a playoff round. Anybody else below gets knocked out. Arsenal are top. They play Kairat from Kazakhstan, who are bottom, so Arsenal are fine. Now, Liverpool, who are 4th, they're playing Karabag, and they should win and they should stay, so they should be all right for the top 8. Spurs, amazingly, are 5th and doing very well in the Champions League. They're away at Eintracht Frankfurt. If they win, they're auto straight through. Newcastle have got Paris Saint-Germain away, which is going to be very tricky, as we know. Chelsea in 8th play Napoli away. All of those win, they go through automatically. Man City are 11th, and they're at home to Galatasaray. But trust me, from PSG in 6th to Atalanta, down, way down on 13th. They're all on 13 points. It's going to be chopping and changing throughout the night. It will be interesting.
And I don't care.
Well,
so about the traitors, Eamonn.
Yeah, but no, but
have I done something to you today? What's the matter?
Look, we're at 16 now, which is sort of where it should be.
Yes.
Not how many was it before?
36. There's 36 now.
And you mentioned teams there that you can't even pronounce. We don't know who they are. That we don't know.
Right.
You know, and it's not. They're not worthy Champions League teams.
Yeah, it's not like the old European Cup. I'll agree with that. Let me show you something interesting. Novak Djokovic was very lucky to get through just a couple of hours ago in the Australian Open. So he's playing Lorenzo Musetti. And Musetti is 6-4 up, 6-3 up, 3-1 up in the final set. Looks like he's going to lose. This is what happens. So Musetti serves, and then there's Novak Djokovic. So he's already served one. This is the next serve. Now, as he serves to Djokovic, Djokovic returns, and Musetti then just walks up to the net, looks upset.
What?
Injured.
So the lad was leading 2 sets.
2 sets and up in the third.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was going to go through against the 10-time champion.
Count your lucky stars there.
I mean, really, and how do you think that Djokovic would have reacted if he was interviewed? What would he say?
He'd be a bit embarrassed, I would have thought.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Well, let's have a look. This is what he had to say straight after the match.
I don't know what to say except that, you know, I feel really sorry for him, and he was a far better player. I was on my way home tonight. Don't know what to say. I mean, this kind of things happen in sport, and...
There you go. And I cheered because, you know, the fact that he said, I was on my way home. I was lucky to get away with it.
Being very humble.
Very humble there. And
didn't mean a word of it, but he was being humble.
Whereas the opposite one is Coco Gauff from yesterday. Oh. Did you see what happened there when she lost? She got knocked out by Elina Svitolina, 6-1, 6-2. So she loses the game. Then she walks off with the tennis racket, and this is what happens. Hopefully nobody sees me. I'm so angry. I'm going to smash my racket on the floor. I'm very unhappy about it. And now I feel much better. And then she walked away. Look at this. And she was really unhappy the fact that she was filmed doing it.
Oh.
Well, she should be.
Well, she assumed that she was safe. But it's like they go, it's nowhere safe? Is it only the locker room? Well, yes. But is there any need to smash up the racket?
No, I can see you smashing your racket on the court or the periphery around the court. But, you know, walking in behind the scenes, you couldn't keep your anger up like that.
You can, if you listen really carefully, you can hear her saying, naughty racket, don't you do that again to me. So there we are, never a good workman and tools,
I can see how she has anger in her life, because anybody with a stupid name, Coco Gauff, it sounds like a clown, or a, you know, I mean,
or a breakfast cereal.
Who in real life is called Coco Gauff?
Well, her name's Corrie. Corrie is her real name. Coco is Corrie. Corrie Gauff, and his Coco is the nickname. And all the kids, their names all rhyme together. Did you know that? What is it? Porrie, Torrie, Horrie.
Okay.
Yeah. Sleepy, dopey.
Okay. Thank you, my friend.
That was it.
Right, here's a question for you. Imagine earning £300,000 to work 2 days a week, OK? We're going to tell you how someone did that, or, well, Claire Muldoon will tell you and Tim Vincent will tell you next, OK? Back after this.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's been very unsettled across southern Europe so far this week, and there is more heavy, thundery rain to come, even some significant hill snow through the next few days. Tomorrow is going to be very wet across much of Spain, Portugal, and also North Morocco. Several hundred millimetres of rain building up through this week, and it's also very unsettled further east across the Mediterranean. Strong winds leading to large waves, and also some heavy, thundery rain. More changeable weather to come into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
Good evening. Is Brooklyn Beckham an even bigger brat than Prince Harry? Yesterday, spoilt little Brooklyn released a statement saying that his parents tried to ruin his marriage, saying that they put brand Beckham before everything else, and accusing his mum Victoria of hijacking his first dance with his wife by, quotes, inappropriately dancing on him. To be fair, that is a bit weird, and people online have tried to imagine what that was like.
3 words when you're getting busy. Whoop, there it is, Hitman.
Or maybe it was like this. Or dare I say it, even this. Look, Victoria wouldn't be the first mum in history to do something a bit embarrassing at a wedding, but is it really worth blowing your family up for? Brooklyn is probably the most privileged little nepo baby the world has ever seen. He's had the best of everything, from posh prep schools in leafy Cheshire to a school for Hollywood's elite kids in California and fine art college in Hampstead. And he's done nothing with it.
The Beckham boy's Brooklyn is still a natural, posing for his first modelling shoot at just 15.
That fell by the wayside. The only real job he's ever had was when he worked as a barista at a coffee shop in London.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Claire and Tim going through the papers today. And we're going to start in the Telegraph, Claire. In the world of woke, there is no wish to debate, and free speech is a form of oppression. Who's saying this?
This is the Telegraph. People, as we know, don't buy papers anymore. And if you're more likely to buy an actual physical paper, we often go straight to the opinion pieces. And this is one by Annabel Denham in today's Telegraph. Now, we have waxed lyrical for many, many weeks about the use of universities now. And I go back to Tony Blair when he said it's every child's right to attend a university for a tertiary education. And it's now coming back to bite us all, because one, there's no graduate jobs, but two, the standard of the child leaving this establishment, they are more woke than my youngest daughter. It's ridiculous.
It's that bad.
It is that bad. And there seems to be no place now for discourse. There's no place now for communication or voicing other ideas. Kids are now frightened in tutorials to voice perhaps or to proffer an alternative viewpoint for fear of being cancelled, for fear of being trolled, or for fear of being, just cut down and left. And it's just ridiculous. You would think that those, and I'm saying this pejoratively, those on the left of education are supposed to be the kindest and let everyone be what they want to be, when in fact what is happening is the absolute opposite. You can't be, or you cannot hold an opinion in which they don't agree with. Tim, I thought the government were trying to tackle this issue.
I think they can keep up with the problem because most universities are on a financial precipice.
Yeah,
attendance, how much it's going to cost. Is those courses going to be relevant in 5 years' time with AI? There's all those issues. Saddled with debt by the time you come out the other end.
And the debt is only existing for 30 years, after which it's written off.
I know, but controversially, you know, the rest of Europe, when Tony Blair was coming in with those policies that everybody had a right to go to university, if you remember when polytechs became universities, used to be University of Polytech, they all became universities. That's not the case in the rest of Europe. You had to have very high scores in education to get into university, and those are the people that were educated for proper jobs. Now, everybody's allowed to go to university, everybody's allowed to have debt, and it doesn't actually help you at the end of 3 or 4 years.
No, it doesn't. And it's to the cost of apprenticeships. It's the cost of people whose jobs cannot be taken by AI.
And even the ones that go to university stay at home or choose to be where they can be at home and just commute to the... Well, you've got 15 children staying with you at the moment, haven't you, to get through? But it is ridiculous, isn't it? It used to be go to university, write a passion, learn about yourself, become an adult, get a good qualification, get into the workforce.
And
that isn't the case anymore.
I wonder how much social media is to blame for this in terms of recording of people's opinions and views and then clipped up, or everyone's...
No, I think it's all HR that all are justifying their jobs to find the witch-finder general.
Well, talking about jobs, Tim, I want a job that's going to earn me... Is it £300,000? Is that a year, or is that for every 2 days?
I think that there's going to be a very long line for this this job. Yeah, the head of Labour's nationalised rail project will earn up to £300,000 for 2.5 days' work a week, making it one of the positions of one of Britain's highest-paid public sector roles. £200,000 to £300,000, 2.5 days. That's the equivalent pro rata of £600,000 a year. And to give you some kind of comparison, Sir Keir is on £172,000 a year. What's surprising, what you pointed out before, Claire, is that Glasgow City Council, the chief executive there, is on £567,000
It's the highest
a year.
earning council ever.
It's amazing.
But with this job, though, I mean, I thought the country was skint. I mean, someone's mentioned a black hole a couple of times that we need to fill with taxing us all more, but we're paying people £300,000 for 2.5 days a week. It's just incredible, and it's sickening. It really is sickening to the core. And, you know, if we move up to the north of the border, where Glasgow City Council has, you know, decimated a lot of the industry up there, and indeed they can't do bin rounds, they can't collect rubbish. It's rat infested in certain parts. The city of Glasgow is completely run down now. It's not anything like it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and yet they're able to spend so much money on council executives that don't seem to be doing anything. Suzanne Miller came out and said she didn't understand, or she wasn't told, that a few council executives from Glasgow City Council were given £1 million payoffs to get before they were pensioned off. And it went through. They just don't know what they're doing. There's no checks, no balances. Get the SNP out and shut down that shortbread Senate.
Right, talking about jobs, no, I don't know what I was going to talk about, but it's no illegal waste dumps, that was it.
Talking of rats, we discussed rats, rat-infested.
Rat infested, OK. So give us your take on this, Claire.
I just can't believe this. Lorries began carrying rubbish to the site up in Wigan, and it's now been hailed as the worst illegal waste
I've
dump.
seen pictures of this. It's absolutely terrible.
It's awful.
Mostly building debris.
And it's now... The land is partially owned by the King. So the Duchy of Lancaster, under a 750-year-old feudal law, takes no responsibility for anything that's happening with the land there. So I think the King needs to come out. If he is so into recyclable materials, etc., he needs to take a stand on this, and he needs to make his voice heard for once and for all.
I applaud the King. I applaud the King for his ecological CV, because he has been there right from the 70s, ringing the right bell in the right direction to go. But why should we be washing our yoghurt pots and putting them in all the little boxes outside?
And risk of being fined.
Fined, exactly, when this is happening.
And surely he's got a few members of his family who aren't doing much at the moment. They can go and clear it a bit. Do you reckon? He can recycle some members of his family, like his brother.
The plastic ones.
Right, heat pumps, Tim.
Oh, well, how long have we got? I've just had a heat pump installed in a new build that I've done up north. £13,000. I'm been forced to have it because it's a new build. You get 7.5 grand back, so do the maths, that's how much it's cost me to put in. And as it was being put in, a lot of the workmen that have been working on the property said, good luck with that, it's going to cost you a fortune. Well, that's finally been corroborated by Dale Vince, a leading Labour donor, that has said heat pumps don't save you money. So this is the big sham, really, that everybody's being forced to have them. I think there's something like 59,000 been installed this year. Devil's in the detail. That's probably not people like you or I that just choose to have it, but being forced to have it on a new build because that's the way we're all going. If it's the right thing, then of course we should do things that are ecological.
Explain to me like I'm dumb, right?
Yeah.
What is a heat pump?
So it takes it harnesses the outside air that will heat it much more environmentally friendly with less energy inside your house. But you have to have such an insulated house to make that even bare minimum to cover your own costs. So you're not making any money. They say you can make so much money if you have solar panels, good insulation, heat pump, but that's going to cost you £25,000 to £30,000 to save you £130 a year.
Just get a pair of curtains.
Well, do you know what ironically is the fact?
Honestly.
Well, I know, but talking of curtains, log burners are being demonised left, right and centre. I've got a log burner. I come from the countryside. You can go out, get some wood, store it, it's dry. It keeps your house going for heat, hardly any money through the year, and now that's being demonised. So we're going to take away log burners, which people have already got and they can use easily, and put in these heat pumps in that cost you money, thousands, tens of thousands of pounds. The world is going mad.
Yet, during the summer months, especially as we are getting, warmer summers, people complain that these new builds are often built to keep the heat in.
You've got to keep the windows open.
And you cannot release the heat during the summer months.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The Romans had it right.
Straight roads.
Thank you. Thank you both
Thank you both. Just a quick reply about the Duchy of Lancaster.
You're not going to read that, are you?
I have to, evidently.
Well, you don't have to.
Approximately 30% of the illegal tipping site was vested to the Duchy from its previous owner in 2025. At this point, the Duchy contacted Wigan Council to seek a resolution, and we remain fully committed to, stop it, Eamonn, working with the local community and relevant agents to address this issue and to counter the impact of illegal waste tipping.
Well, that'll keep some lawyer here happy.
Well, all that hot air.
A lot of hot air.
It's the weather.
Thank you very much indeed, guys.
Thank you.
And you're not going to be back. No, you're not going to be back. Here is the weather.
Oh, Tim,
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain, though, across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales, ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud, though, towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across the eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, and then a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB.
thank you to our global community for watching and listening to GB News. We're not only the #1 news channel in Britain, we're chosen by you around the world.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A720 eastbound after Calder Junction, a broken down vehicle is partially blocking the road, so slow on the approach. The M4 eastbound at junction 33 near Capel Lanilturn is busy on the off-slip with congestion. The M60 anti-clockwise at junction 3 has an incident, with 2 of 4 lanes closed and delays of around 30 minutes. The M1 southbound between junction 14 and 13 is also slow with 30-minute queues. And on the trains, Transpennine Express has major disruption between Huddersfield and Manchester Victoria, while Great Western Railway says poor weather is affecting services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The Prime Minister and his team take burner phones to China to combat spying.
Dozens of disposable phones and computers have been issued to the government delegation tasked with building bridges with China.
Sources suggested that no government equipment is being taken to China over concerns of surveillance by the Chinese Communist Party.
Now, all of this comes and is revealed that the Chinese hacked mobile phones of senior officials in Downing Street for several years during the Conservative government under Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson.
So can Britain rebuild relations without putting our security on the line?
It's been revealed that the Prime Minister led a witch hunt against Iraq war veterans in a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes.
And business rates backtrack. The government announces it will be giving pubs and music venues a 15% discount on their business rates bills from April. However, hospitality is still left out in the cold.
Storm Chandra, it's passed by now, and the country was hit very badly with heavy rain, which has left a lot of flooding as a result. We're reporting on that today.
With temperatures dropping last night, there's plenty of ice around this morning, leading to some pretty difficult conditions. Otherwise, a lot of dry and bright weather to be had today. Stick around to find out the details.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for your company. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News Breakfast.
So it appears the whole government and a lot of very important business people have up sticks and all headed to China. Why? Why is the question, and what is going to be achieved as a result? So let's find out now. We go to Olivia Utley, our political correspondent, on all of this one. Olivia.
Well, at the moment, the Prime Minister will only talk in generalities about what he's hoping to achieve in China. He wants some sort of discussion, perhaps some kind of informal deal on trade and investment. He wants some sort of cooperation on healthcare and on migration as well. But the press pack, who've been on the plane with him overnight, including our own political editor, Chris Hope, have been asking questions about exactly what this closer trading relationship would look like. And the Prime Minister is staying very tight-lipped. We're not expecting any sort of formal trade agreement, and we're not expecting a joint press conference. Back in 2015, David Cameron did a press conference with President Xi where he talked about the golden age of Britain's relationship with China. Well, that came back to bite him when it became evident that China is a threat to the UK. And that brings us on to the question of why is Keir Starmer going at all? And not just going himself, but bringing with him a delegation of 50 British CEOs, along with the Business Secretary, Peter Kyle, and the Chancellor. He wants to engage in closer relationships. What he says is that China is very, very important to Britain, and it doesn't make sense to bury our heads in the sand. But China hawks on both sides of the House, Kemi Badenoch among them, but also some of his own MPs, are really worried about the optics of having this huge, all-out trip, buttering up President Xi, cozying up to China, just at a time when it is becoming clearer and clearer that the Chinese pose a threat to the UK. We also, at the same time, of course, this is against the backdrop of that super Chinese embassy being set up in London. So there are people in Westminster today suggesting that it is not a sensible idea for Keir Starmer to be going off to China, particularly because this is a Prime Minister who has a bit of a reputation for being abroad. He spent 16% of his time as Prime Minister since July 2024, nearly a sixth of his time overseas. And that means that David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary, will be filling in for him at Prime Minister's questions today. Last time David Lammy stepped in for Keir Starmer, it went very badly indeed, with James Cartledge, the Shadow Defence Secretary, putting him on the spot about an escaped prisoner. Let's hope for Labour's sake that it goes a little bit better today. But it's a really tough week yet again for the Prime Minister. He's over in China now, he's putting on a brave face, he's saying he's enjoying it, but there's plenty of criticism for him, not just for being abroad during this time, but also for actually choosing to go to China for this trip, while so much is going on back at home. I'll be really interested to see how Prime Minister's question plays out at 12 o'clock today.
Olivia, the one question I really want to ask of anyone in government at the moment is that Beijing is currently helping Russia. They are building nuclear hypersonic missiles for Russia. They're supplying the parts. Those missiles are being used to bomb Ukraine, which we are sending money to defend themselves against Russia and therefore China. Can someone make that make sense?
Well, it's a really, really important question, Dawn. And actually, Keir Starmer has been asked by that travelling press pack whether he's going to put pressure on President Xi to engage less with President Putin or better still, try and get him to stop that war. Keir Starmer would not answer the question directly, but it is true that Keir Starmer had a briefing conversation with President Zelensky before he went. So presumably, Keir Starmer is going to try and present the Ukrainian side of the argument to President Xi. Whether that will make any difference at all, whether President Xi is likely to be influenced at all by Keir Starmer on this matter is another question. But I think we can infer, we can read between the lines, that he is going to put President Zelensky's view over to President Xi.
Let's see if he takes any notice. Olivia Utley, that's political correspondent Olivia Utley there. Thank you very much for joining. It doesn't make any sense to me, does it, you?
No.
Not at all.
So here we are. It's Wednesday today. Friday, the Great British Giveaway will be no more. So you have been warned.
Yeah, so here's how you enter. £85,000. It's a lot of money. Get your entries in now.
There's just 3 days to grab your chance to win, as our biggest cash prize to date is up for grabs, an incredible £85,000, and it really could be yours. That's tax-free cash to spend all throughout 2026. Enough money to make this year your best year ever. Just one entry could secure it. But you have to hurry, as lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, certainly if you run a high street outlet, you could do with £85,000, business rates being the big problem. A backtrack on those. Much has been made today of the government announcing it will be giving, say, pubs and music venues a discount of 15% on their rates bill from April. However, hospitality, the business in general, is still going cold about this. So what are we doing? We're going to the pub next. Hope you can join us.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
One of the things we're going to be talking about later in the programme is financial abuse. And so many people just don't see a partner controlling their financial affairs as an abusive situation.
And it should be. It's almost literally a part of an abusive relationship now, domestic violence.
I know people where it doesn't exist. Well, what's my money's my money, what's your money's your money, whatever. And then I know people who, particularly the husband, will control the money and decide who spends what and when they spend it.
Yeah, some very, very controlling people. It's not just men as well, by the way. I mean, but it has to be said it's mostly men. OK, well, our next guest is seeking to raise awareness of this very issue and help educate others on these matters after research finds that millions of us can't actually spot the signs of being financially controlled. And to be fair, unless it's very obvious and they're violent with it, it is difficult. So joining us now is relationship therapist and Celebs Go a dating star, Anna Williamson.
Now, the thing about you, Anna, is you reckon you can spot it now because you've been through it.
I have, guys. Lovely to see you this morning. But yes, raising awareness today of financial abuse. And I'm just hearing you guys talk there. It's because it's not often recognised as coming under the topic of domestic abuse. Now, I'm very proud to have teamed up with AXA UK today, who are actually educating its staff on being able to recognise those signs, because it's something that I experienced in a relationship sort of 15, 20 years ago, which was a coercive control relationship. But financial abuse was very much part of it, which I had no idea about until I had exited this relationship many moons ago, gone into the work that I now do in therapy, because it can be very subtle. And as we know with coercive control and psychological abuse, that is the point of it. It's to start small, it's to baby steps, it's to take somebody away from their autonomy, and it's about the power imbalance and the power shift. And that is the difference when it comes to financial abuse. The partner I was with at the time would guilt trip me into taking my credit card out of my purse and say, well, we're in a relationship. What, you have a problem with that? You're clearly not a committed partner to me, because in a relationship, I should be able to use your credit card. And at that point, when you start to then second guess yourself, and as I was in my early 20s at the time, and I was suddenly in a position made to feel like I was being a terrible partner. And of course, and when you have that language of, well, that's what most people do, that's what a good girlfriend would do, what a good partner would do. And that is where it starts. And I was also very strongly guilt-tripped into taking out a personal loan in my name to finance a car for him. Now, thankfully, I didn't do that. I didn't go down that route. But this is where it can become very, very dangerous. It starts to isolate people. It starts to control people. And that is essentially what financial abuse is. It's withdrawing or changing that financial power balance to control somebody, having to ask permission. And I always say to people that if it feels wrong, it is wrong. And if you feel like you're treading on eggshells around money, and I know people in my inner circle, actually, that I genuinely think this can be a little bit sketchy because they are perhaps withholding paperwork. AXA UK have picked up on when people ring up, they say, oh, my partner, my husband's taking me off the car insurance because they feel like I don't need to drive anymore. It's isolating people and it's removing their independence. So I'm a big fan of what they say, what we hear this campaign, because it is important that we raise this awareness. And thank you for giving me the time today to talk about it, because I know when I was experiencing it, I actually felt quite embarrassed, thinking that, well, I should know better. And that is the point of a perpetrator. They want you to feel shame and embarrassment. And I want people to know today, I'm a relationship coach. I've been in that position myself. Yeah. You've got nothing to feel embarrassed about.
Anna, what do people do, though? If people, as you say, if it feels wrong, it probably is wrong. And that's such a great idiom for most parts of life. What do people do about it, though? If you're anyone watching and listening to this now, in particular women who do feel vulnerable, they don't control their own finances, how do you escape?
It's really important, Dawn, that you do speak to somebody that you trust, somebody in your inner circle. And like I say, this exists because it's hidden in plain sight and because it's pushed into silence. places like Women's Aid are amazing at signposting and giving extra advice around this. And in fact, it's actually Women's Aid that have actually trained the AXA UK staff in order to spot these signs. Reach out to somebody to soundboard, so a colleague. Ask someone, can I ask you, does this sound okay to you? Am I overthinking this? Or do you think there's something a little bit more red flaggy in this? Now, I know that does take guts to do that, but in my experience personally and also professionally with my clients, that is when it breeds and it gets worse and worse. Now, every abuser hates to be confronted and to be stood up because it breaks the pattern. So I know it can be really scary to do that, but reaching out, there are plenty of charities that can help to do this. You can actually even go to the AXA UK website as well. They've got a huge signposting area around that just to help people recognise the signs and recognise the things that might be said to them, those sort of subtle little questions such as, do you really need that? It's these sort of subtleties that we need to be picking up on.
But do a lot of us feel we're not educated in knowing what those signs are?
No, that's the point, Eamonn. We don't know if it is. And actually, but 15% of people say that they have actually experienced financial abuse. But like I say, and as you picked up on there, Dawn, if it feels wrong, it is wrong. Trust in your gut. I am constantly saying this, so I'm blue in the face. I'm in the middle of doing another series of Celebs Go Dating at the moment. And as I say to everybody that I work with, your gut intuition is usually correct. So if it does feel eggy, actually just take that moment, and then it probably is wrong. And it's having that confidence to be able to name the issue and say, this doesn't feel right to me. Now, it's from that point onwards that you can hopefully then get that signposting, get that help and support to be able to not tolerate it. But the more that we tolerate it and we get squashed into a corner, the worse it can become.
OK, Anna, thank you so much. That's our relationship therapist and Celebs Go Dating star Anna Williamson, therefore, with some very, very good advice. OK, so do you recognise the most obvious warning signs of financial abuse in relationships? Yeah. 18 minutes, 90 minutes now past 9 o'clock. Yeah, so let's go back to the pub conversation we were having. The government has finally unveiled its long-awaited plans to support pubs after weeks of speculation and delays. But the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride, has slammed the move as too little, too late. Is he right, though? Hospitality experts are also warning that the package does nothing to help other sectors struggling with ever-climbing costs, including hotels and restaurants. One pub is closing every single day. Well, let's go to one pub now. This is Wimborne, and our reporter Isabel Fekulak is there. Who have you got with you, Isabel?
Morning. I'm at the Old Thatch in Wimborne. Next to me is Andy Lennox, the landlord who originally put this ban on Labour MPs. And yesterday, when this announcement came out, he was umming and ahhing whether or not to lift the ban. So, Andy, talk us through what decision you made and how you came to that decision.
Well, it was a difficult one, and we literally had two kind of statements in front of us, which way to go. Ultimately, what they've done for the pubs is good in the sense that it's brought the rates back down to where they were previously. So it's not a tax cut in any way, shape or form. It's just bringing back down what rates bills were going to go up. The problem being is it's only for pubs, and it's not for the whole of the hospitality sector, which is what we've been calling for. And, through discussions with various different people, we've kind of come to the conclusion that we kind of had to basically keep the ban in place because, how do you define what a pub is, for starters? I mean, I've got one Michelin star chef up north, and he's sitting there kind of going, well, I've got a pub and I've got a restaurant. The restaurant used to be a pub. So, how do you define that? And so I think you can't leave one part of the sector out to dry. And one of the things that I think our industry has done not enough of is to basically actually turn around and, be together and be one voice. So essentially the ban will remain in place now until we can get that rate relief for the whole of the hospitality sector.
All right. So, yeah, as we've heard here, a ban still in place from pubs across the country.
You'll be reflecting that throughout the day, what the feeling is about that. And folks, if you're watching or listening at home, have your say, let us know, and we'll include that in the items. OK, but coming up next, Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates, who have got a cracking show starting at 9:30. What's involved today?
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, we've got a lot on the Prime Minister's trip to China.
Yes.
Is this exactly what we need for trade, or actually are we selling off the family silver? Are we also threatening our security?
Do you know they're taking the World Billiards and Snooker Association with them on the trip to China?
I didn't know that bit. Entertainment.
And the Table Tennis England. I thought the Chinese were the wizards at table
They are
tennis.
very good.
Bit odd, isn't it?
I mean, the Prime Minister is saying that in order for Britain to be prosperous, we need to trade with China. But if you look at the facts, they buy hardly any of our exports. I think just 3.5% of our exports go to China. We're completely beholden to them. It's not a fair trade.
Yeah, we were just talking about earlier on that Ireland...
Yeah, they trade more with Ireland, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amazing. And when the Chinese buy our stuff, they then look at it and then market it themselves.
Copy it, reproduce it.
And then
replicate it.
Absolutely, and then stop buying our products. So we are just falling for it. Maybe the Prime Minister's there because he says he can reverse all.
Actually, just some breaking news for you. We have just been told that the Prime Minister has actually landed in Beijing as we speak. So lots coming up on your show covering that one with his burner phone made in China.
Yes.
Good luck.
Absolutely.
Have you got Kevin Badenoch's speech? She's going to be talking about the psychodrama in the Labour Party. Apparently, the Prime Minister has spoken twice to Andy Burnham in the last 2 days.
Of course, Conservatives are experts at psychodrama, so she'll have lots of advice to give.
Yes.
There's an interesting piece in The Spectator yesterday saying how important it was to have psychodrama because that's what it makes politics interesting. So I've got some sympathy for that.
Yeah, well, there's nothing else interesting about the Labour Party, is there, at the moment?
Apart from their psychodramas. We've also got the latest on the grooming gangs inquiry coming from Susan Hall in London and possibly a baking challenge for Andrew.
Which I won't be very good at. And, of course, we've got the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. It's quite icy out there for many of us this morning, but otherwise a lot of dry and at times sunny weather around. That being said, it is going to be pretty wet across parts of northeastern Scotland, rain lingering here through much of the day and into tomorrow, and there will be outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and also southwest England. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, a lot of dry weather around and even a decent amount of sunshine too. With that, feeling more pleasant than yesterday with the drier, sunnier weather, but temperatures only around average for the time of year, just about getting into double figures towards the south. Then we go through the end of the day and there's still that rain across parts of northeastern and eastern Scotland, continuing across areas such as Aberdeenshire, Orkney, Shetland, for example, and even a bit of winteriness over some of the higher ground. Drier, clearer skies across the western, southern parts of Scotland. Outbreaks of rain, though, across parts of Northern Ireland. Much of England and Wales ending the day on a largely dry note. Thicker cloud, though, towards some eastern areas. A few spots of rain here and there, and some rain towards the southwest as well. A bit more rain then pushing into southwestern areas as we go overnight. Also more cloud and outbreaks of rain across the eastern parts compared to last night, but in between there will again be some drier, clear weather around, and when you get those clear skies, well, once more there could be a bit of frost and also a few patches of ice as well first thing tomorrow morning. Otherwise tomorrow it does look like a cloudier day than today, and there will be a bit more rain in some eastern areas, outbreaks of rain coming in, some hill snow over areas of Scotland, and then a few outbreaks of rain towards the west before more persistent rain feeds in across southwest England. And with the ground very saturated here, we are likely to see some further issues, the risk of a bit more flooding and travel disruption as a result of that. Temperatures for many, well, around average, maybe a little bit below for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 10 million followers across social media. We are truly honoured to have your trust, one follower at a time.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M8 westbound, there's a partial blockage between junction 18 and 19 after a crash. On the M4 eastbound at junction 33, congestion is building on the slip road at Capel Lanilturn. In Stockport, the M60 anti-clockwise at junction 3 has 2 lanes closed after a collision with long delays. Elsewhere, queues remain on the A31 westbound between the A338 and the A349. On the train,